the school beauty's personal bodyguard. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Civilian School Beauty. Lin Yi nodded. So he was an entertainment tycoon. It's not true that all of these people who made their fortunes through nightclubs and KTVs, but many of them, have some kind of black background. But this is understandable. After all, these entertainment venues are full of people of all stripes, and there are many people who come to cause trouble. Without a strong background, it's impossible to open one. It seems that his family is very successful in this city. Lin Yi was not afraid of Zhong Pinliang because of this. In his eyes, whether it was a gang leader or a corporate boss, they were not as scary as his old man. If he offended old man Lin, he would really beat him to death, and he would not have any room to fight back. What's his family? Kang Xiaobo curled his lips in disdain. It was clear he had little regard for Zhong Pinliang, perhaps even a hint of annoyance. If we're talking about wealth, Chu Mengyao's family is truly wealthy. Zhong Pinliang's family merely owns a few entertainment properties in this city, while the Chu family is a true industrial conglomerate with numerous branches across China. Lin Yi had a rough idea of Chu Pengzhan's strength. If the Pengzhan Group were an aircraft carrier, then the Zhong family's businesses could only be described as small sampans. Chu Mengyao's disdain for Zhong Pinliang, the upstart, was understandable. It seems you know quite a bit, Lin Yi smiled. Kang Xiaobo blushed, and said awkwardly, how many boys in our school don't know Chu Mengyao's information and background? But Chen Yashu is a bit more mysterious. How should I put it? Lin Yi was curious. He had never met Chen Yashu's family. However, it was clear that Chen Yashu was picked up and dropped off by Chu Mengyao's family car every day, and even ate at her house after school. This made Lin Yi feel like she was piggybacking on Chu Mengyao's influence, but now, hearing Kang Xiaobo's words, that didn't seem to be the case. I heard that Chen Yashu's brother is a special forces soldier, like the kind you see in novels. So awesome. Back in her freshman year of high school, a boy, relying on his family's connections, tried to woo Chen Yashu. When his wooing didn't go through, he resorted to underhanded tactics. But Chen Yashu's brother found out and beat him up, sending the boy to the hospital for 6 months. His family didn't dare say a word, and even went to the Chen family to apologize afterward. Kang Xiaobo said mysteriously, this shows how powerful Chen Yashu's background is. But Chen Yashu never actively causes trouble. There are actually many people who have a crush on her, but they're afraid to confess. Lin Yi thought to himself, how can she not cause trouble? She doesn't cause trouble, but she always messes with me. Not only did she have something on him, but just now, she'd even seen him there. What kind of a thing was that? Just thinking about it gave Lin Yi a headache. Lin Yi wasn't worried about Chen Yashu's imaginary brother coming after him. He knew her better than Chu Mengyao. She seemed much more open-minded than Chu Mengyao and wouldn't dwell on these things. But Chu Mengyao might hate him even more. Sometimes, Lin Yi would rather be Chen Yashu's study partner than Chu Mengyao. This young lady was truly difficult to please. Lin Yi, are you attracted to them? Kang Xiaobo asked, patting Lin Yi on the shoulder. Lin Yi smiled wryly and shook his head, saying, how could that be? I haven't even thought about that. Didn't that mean he was just trying to steal a young lady? This made Lin Yi feel a sense of inexplicable guilt, like a servant in ancient times trying to steal a young lady. But buddy, if you really want to pursue her, there's another candidate, Kang Xiaobo whispered mysteriously. Who's the candidate? Lin Yi asked casually. It wasn't that he cared about that, but rather that he wanted to learn more about the school through Kang Xiaobo's mouth. Tang Yun from Class 9, Grade 3, Kang Xiaobo cleared his throat and said, our school's beauty from a poor background. Although very beautiful, like us, she comes from a poor family. She wears a school uniform every day and doesn't dress up, but her beauty still can't be concealed. Tang Yun. Lin Yi was stunned. The name sounded nice, but he wasn't sure if she was as beautiful as Kang Xiaobo said. Of course, compared to those two little princesses, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, Tang Yun isn't as eye-catching. Kang Xiaobo's tone was noticeably hurried and excited as he spoke of Tang Yun. But by comparison, she's closer to us. A school like No. 1 middle school was home to both wealthy children and impoverished students. Unconsciously, They had split into two factions: the wealthy young men who came here for money, spending their days chasing after beautiful women and playing games. After graduation, they can use their wealth and connections to attend their dream university, even studying abroad. However, poorer students study tirelessly every day to get into their dream university. Poor students often look down on the idle rich second generations, while these rich second generations, in turn, look down on the bookworms who spend their days studying. However, this isn't always the case. While some rich second generations study hard, others engage in violence and gang activities. Birds of a feather flock together, and Zhong Pinliang's associates are all from wealthy and powerful families with similar backgrounds. Therefore, for King Xiaobo, pursuing Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu is just an unattainable dream. Tang Yun, the common school beauty, is the one they can truly reach. Seeing King Xiaobo's hopeful smile, Lin Yi sighed softly. School wasn't as innocent as he'd imagined, but rather a place rife with interests and entanglements. You like her? Lin Yi asked with a smile. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I guarantee that many boys in school have Tang Yun as their dream partner, Kang Xiaobo affirmed. Dude, wait until you meet her and you'll know what I'm saying. Chasing a common school beauty? The suggestion was tempting, but Lin Yi ultimately shook his head. He was just a schoolboy. Abandoning the young lady to date? Even if Chu Pengzhan said nothing, old man Lin wouldn't let him off. One shouldn't be such a jerk. It's better to keep a low profile. Besides, the situation was still unclear. He hadn't figured out Chu Pengzhan's intentions. Was he trying to use his job to steal the young lady? Well, now that he thought about it, that was a real possibility. He had no relationship with the young lady, and this was the only way he could offer her love. So, what if he tried to flirt with a common school beauty and Chu Pengzhan found out and fired him? That would be the salary of a high-ranking official in the white society, with a monthly salary of 30,000 yuan. Chapter 27: The Unreachable Goddess. The cafeteria at No. 1 Middle School is enormous, spanning 3 stories. The first floor is the public dining hall, reminiscent of a fast food restaurant, with small stalls selling a variety of dishes surrounding it, and rows of tables and chairs in the center. The second floor houses private dining rooms, suitable for wealthy students, where they can order a grave la carte. Some less affluent students also come here for birthday parties or other occasions. The food on the second floor is clearly not of the same quality as the first floor, as they employ a specially hired chef. The third floor is the dining hall for faculty and staff. The food is similar to the student cafeteria on the first floor, but the ambience is more elegant. Of course, students are not allowed to eat there. Lin Yi followed Kang Xiaobo into the cafeteria. Kang Xiaobo pointed to an office on the right and said, "Apply for a meal card there." "Oh, I'll get one right away," Lin Yi nodded. Chu Pengzhan and Uncle Fu hadn't given him a school meal card or library card, but apparently, these things could be obtained at any time on campus with just a student's ID. "What? Are you looking down on me?" Kang Xiaobo was slightly annoyed when he saw Lin Yi going to apply for a membership card. "Today's our first day, and since it's my place, naturally it's my treat." Lin Yi, upon hearing Kang Xiaobo's words, abandoned the idea of applying immediately. "Okay, then, I'll do it after dinner." "Okay, I'll go with you after dinner," Kang Xiaobo said cheerfully, leading Lin Yi through the various small cafeteria counters. There were quite a few dishes on display, both vegetarian and meaty, with several main courses, as well as buns, dumplings, and pies. Lin Yi ordered some alfalfa tomatoes and some rice, while Kang Xiaobo ordered a plate of shredded pork with fish sauce and steamed buns. The total cost was 11 yuan, a moderate amount. Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo found a seat and placed the 2 dishes together so they could rotate between them. After settling down, Lin Yi quickly scanned the cafeteria. Chen Yashu and Chu Mengyao were not there. They had obviously gone to the private rooms on the second floor. "What are you looking at?" "Pretty girls," Kang Xiaobo said with a smile. "Chen Yashu and Chu Mengyao are upstairs. They won't be eating with us, but if you're lucky, you might run into Tang Yun." Really, Lin Yi was more concerned about Chu Mengyao's whereabouts than whether Tang Yun would show up. But Tang Yun's family doesn't seem to be doing well, so she usually brings her own lunch. Kang Xiaobo sighed and said, "Actually, with Tang Yun's situation, she could easily have countless guys vying to treat her to a meal with just a word. Even if they were eating in the private room on the second floor every day, it wouldn't be impossible." Ambitious girls don't care about that," Lin Yi said calmly. "You're right, Tang Yun never cares about that." Girls like her are truly rare, Kang Xiaobo said with conviction, but the more so, the more boys will like her. Girls like this who don't care about material gains are exactly what students like. Unfortunately, Tang Yun didn't show up until lunch was over. Lin Yi wasn't surprised, but Kang Xiaobo felt a touch of regret. Like Kang Xiaobo, many students came here every day to eat, hoping to see Tang Yun. It had become an anticipation. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, however, came down the second floor stairs arm in arm, drawing many of the boys' attention. But to the vast majority of those seated, they were like two towering goddesses, unattainable. Many boys even hesitated to look them in the eye. Lin Yi watched them leave the school cafeteria and then went with Kang Xiaobo to the administration office at the entrance. Lin Yi, you were staring at Chen Yashu and the others, weren't you? Kang Xiaobo asked. Just looking, Lin Yi felt a little embarrassed. Well, you'll understand in a few days. They're not our princesses. Tang Yun is. Kang Xiaobo looked at Lin Yi sympathetically. But hadn't he, too, secretly loved Chen Yashu and Chu Mengyao when he first enrolled? But as he grew older, he came to understand the difference. Equality for all is a beautiful fantasy. Anyone with even a modicum of maturity understands that people are never equal. While the rich enjoy luxury, the poor remain frozen to death. This isn't a joke, it's a fact. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu's lives are dazzling and colorful. Their princess-like lives are beyond the reach of an ordinary boy like him. So, while many in the class knew Chu Mengyao disliked Zhong Pinliang, they also knew that Zhong Pinliang was the only one in the class qualified to pursue her. The card application process went smoothly. After all, it was a donation to the school. Even though the cafeteria manager claimed they didn't make a profit, who would believe that? Lin Yi presented his student's ID, deposited 200 yuan, and easily obtained the cafeteria meal card. As he was leaving, Kang Xiaobo grumbled, "Dude, why are you saving so much money? Eat, what's wrong?" Lin Yi was puzzled. Kang Xiaobo had been winking at him repeatedly while he was depositing money. He had no idea what the boy meant. The school cafeteria, when you give him money, he's always smiling. If you don't want to eat anymore and want a refund, you can just wait. We're already seniors, who knows how long we'll be able to eat here? You saved so much money at once, and when you graduate, you'll be coming back all day to get it back. How can you spare the time? Kang Xiaobo said, somewhat reproachfully. Oh, that's it? It's only 200 yuan. Look, we spend over 10 yuan a day, so we'll have spent that 200 yuan in a month or so. Lin Yi smiled nonchalantly. If you don't want to refund, then don't. At worst, we can just skip a day and have a feast here. You're quite open-minded, Kang Xiaobo said approvingly. If restaurants off campus weren't more expensive, I wouldn't eat in this cafeteria. It's good to have something to eat it. Lin Yi wasn't picky. While the food in this cafeteria wasn't as good as the chef Uncle Fu sent yesterday, it was at least much better than the snack bar owned by Widow Wang at the village entrance. After returning to the classroom, I noticed that most of the students hadn't gone out to play. Senior year is a precious and intense time. It's the turning point in life. If you work hard, you might get into a top university. If you neglect your studies, you might be left out. Those who make it to #1 middle school are all top performers, and no one wants to be inferior to others. Of course, with the exception of the children of the nobility, they're all happily playing basketball on the playground or even playing online games in the internet cafes outside the school. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Chen Yashu's Soldier Brother. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu didn't go out either, but huddled together, looking at a tablet computer. It was playing a cartoon, which looked childish to Lin Yi, but the two of them were watching it with great interest, and occasionally burst into laughter. Of course, the boys in the class who were studying, far from being offended, thought their laughter was a kind of heavenly sound, adding a touch of freshness and color to the boring study life. But the girls didn't think so. Some were jealous, some were contemptuous, and some were even disdainful. Of course, there were also those who didn't care, but no matter what, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu's outstanding temperament was still envied by most people. Lin Yi returned to his seat, and Chen Yashu, who was looking at the tablet computer, glanced up at Lin Yi, then lowered her head to continue watching the cartoon. Kang Xiaobo also quietly did his exercises, while Lin Yi flipped through his high school textbooks with some boredom. Before the first class of the afternoon, Zhong Pinliang returned, having changed his clothes. Gao Xiaofu and Zhang Neipao were also by his side, their hair still wet, clearly fresh from the shower. As he entered the classroom, Zhong Pinliang cast a resentful glance in Lin Yi's direction, but without saying anything, he returned to his seat. Zhong Pinliang had been a complete wretch today, especially in front of the girl he loved most. This was the greatest humiliation he had ever endured. He would never let Lin Yi go, he vowed to himself. He didn't attack Lin Yi just yet, not because he was patient, but because class was only a little over 10 minutes away. First period was with Mr. Liu, our homeroom teacher, and he didn't want to cause trouble now. He planned to use study time to mess with Lin Yi again. Seeing Zhong Pinliang, Chen Yushu couldn't help but recall the time Lin Yi had doused him in urine, and she couldn't help but laugh, though a slight blush rose as she recalled the scene when Lin Yi had let the water flow. Zhong Pinliang naturally heard Chen Yushu's mocking voice, and he immediately felt very uncomfortable. If it were anyone else, he would have slapped her, but he didn't dare to do that to Chen Yushu. Others might not know, but Zhong Pinliang knew Chen Yushu's background very well. He knew Wu Xiaoqin, the school bully who was the leader of the 4 bad boys in the previous senior year. He had pursued Chen Yushu at the beginning of the first year of high school. After being rejected several times by Chen Yushu, Wu Xiaoqin's mind began to become distorted. During a school movie party, Wu Xiaoqin took the opportunity to sit next to Chen Yushu and tried to make a move on her, but failed and was slapped twice by Chen Yushu. Afterwards, Wu Xiaoqin publicly announced in the school that he had dumped Chen Yushu. He was tired of her and didn't want her anymore. He even said some harsh words, saying that Chen Yushu had even had an abortion for him. Of course, most people understood that Wu Xiaoqin was just complaining about sour grapes, and they accepted his words without believing them. However, while no one believed Wu Xiaoqin's words, it thrust Chen Yushu into the spotlight. Chen Yushu, unbearable, confronted Wu Xiaoqin, even slapping him several times in public. Wu Xiaoqin then threatened to rape her, telling her to be careful after school. This incident later reached Chen Yushu's brother, Chen Yushan, on a winter afternoon. Zhong Pinliang will never forget the scene. A military green jeep pulled up to the school gates, and a tall, burly young man got out and walked straight to Wu Xiaoqin, who was playing football on the playground. Wu Xiaoqin, still unaware of what was happening, said to Chen Yushan in a pretentious tone, "No one can do anything. Who do you think you are? You're just a lousy soldier. Who are you trying to scare? Let me tell you, no matter how good you are at fighting, we are a group of people and we can't beat you to death." Chen Yushan only said one sentence, went to the school radio station, apologized to Chen Yushu, and let the matter go. Wu Xiaoqin laughed arrogantly. He had never heard such a funny joke, and the minions around him also laughed. Chen Yushan frowned and kicked Wu Xiaoqin in the stomach, knocking him down. Then he swung his fist and hit Wu Xiaoqin, and immediately there was a sound of broken bones. Wu Xiaoqin's minions were immediately shocked. Although they fought and quarreled from time to time, they had never seen this person break someone's bones right away. This person was not on their level at all. Chen Yushan was really angry. Chen Yushu had been his favorite since childhood, and he had never let her suffer. Not only did Wu Xiaoqin touch his little sister, he also spread rumors to insult her and even threaten her. Chen Yushan's intolerance was unbearable. Zhong Pinliang, one of Wu Xiaoqin's cronies, stood among the group, watching Wu Xiaoqin howl like a pig being slaughtered. He was utterly shocked, and the tragic scene even left him with nightmares for days. Wu Xiaoqin's family was undoubtedly powerful, otherwise he wouldn't have been so pretentious. However, upon learning that the man who assaulted him was a top soldier from a mysterious special unit, he lost some of his composure. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how big a gangster you are, you're still a far cry from the top soldier from that mysterious unit. And that was just Chen Yushan's background. Later, when Wu Xiaoqin's family learned of Chen Yushu and Chen Yushan's family backgrounds, they were utterly terrified. They were instantly filled with fear and trepidation. Their son's actions, while seemingly mischievous, constituted intimidation, insult, and defamation at worst. Even more so, it could be considered molesting and indecent assault on a young girl. If the Chen family really wanted to punish him, Wu Xiaoqin's life would be over. Fortunately, Chen Yushan was a generous man. After the Wu family arrived with gifts and an apology, he announced that he would not pursue the matter. However, he also stated that Wu Xiaoqin's presence at school was detrimental to Xiaoji's mental and physical well-being. The Wu family, not foolish enough, immediately understood Chen Yushin's intentions and arranged for Wu Xiaoqin's transfer the next day, thus putting an end to the incident. Few people knew the inside story, and the idea of the leader of the gang transferring schools was surprising. However, Zhong Pinliang happened to be one of those privy to the situation. Therefore, even if he had 100 guts, he wouldn't dare to provoke Chen Yushu. Thinking of Wu Xiaoqin's reaction at that moment, Zhong Pinliang shuddered for no apparent reason. Zhong Pinliang was a bully, afraid of the strong. Faced with the absolute power of Chen Yushin, he wouldn't dare to resist. While the Zhong family had some power, and Zhong Pinliang's father's gang had a few thugs, they were no match for the Wu family, let alone the Chen family. Chapter 29 What's Coming is Coming. The last class of the afternoon was a study session. Zhong Pinliang stood up, walked over to Lin Yi, and tapped his desk twice with his fingers. "What's up?" Lin Yi asked calmly, looking up, but there was a hint of impatience in his eyes. Kang Xiaobo also turned around, looking at Lin Yi and Zhong Pinliang in surprise, wondering how they had become entangled. After all, Zhong Pinliang was not someone Lin Yi could afford to offend. "Come with me if you dare," Zhong Pinliang said arrogantly. "Sorry, I'm busy. I need to study." Lin Yi lowered his head and continued to flip through the math book in his hands. "Are you scared now?" "Coward," Zhong Pinliang snorted coldly and said, "You can't avoid it on the first day, but you can wait until the end of the day." With that, he returned to his seat without looking back. "Hey, buddy, how did you offend this great god?" Kang Xiaobo whispered to Lin Yi. "He's not easy to mess with." "Is there some misunderstanding?" Lin Yi smiled bitterly. "What misunderstanding? Why would I pick a grudge against him for no reason? Wasn't it Chu Mengyao? If it weren't for her, would I have kicked Zhong Pinliang's ass yesterday?" But he definitely couldn't say this to Kang Xiaobo. "Nothing. Earlier this morning, Zhang Napao stretched out his leg, trying to make me fall, but I stepped on his foot. Maybe that's why." Lin Yi pushed the matter back to the morning. "Ah," Kang Xiaobo was startled and frowned. "Zhang Napao is a vindictive guy. It seems Zhong Pinliang is trying to get you on behalf of his brother." "Whatever, let them be. What can they do in school?" Lin Yi shrugged indifferently. In Lin Yi's eyes, no matter how arrogant and domineering Zhong Pinliang was, he was still just a student. Thinking back to his own war-torn years, braving the elements amidst hail of bullets, an enemy like Zhong Pinliang seemed childish. Just like today's drill, Lin Yi had used a rather playful method to teach Zhong Pinliang a lesson, rather than a brutal beating. If Lin Yi had truly intended to hit someone, Zhong Pinliang would be lying in the morgue by now. "How is it?" Kang Xiaobo sighed. Lin Yi had just transferred here and didn't know some of the normal school practices, so he explained, "Zhong Pinliang and his gang are the school's bullies. Many students who cross them have been beaten up, some unable to attend school for days, so ruthless." Lin Yi hadn't expected Zhong Pinliang and his gang to be so brutally beaten that others couldn't attend school. This was quite a bit of violence. "Yet, oh, it's my fault for not telling you in advance," Kang Xiaobo sighed. "If you had said a few soft words earlier, maybe this matter would have been resolved, but now." "How is it now?" Lin Yi asked with interest. "Now things are getting tough," Kang Xiaobo said indignantly. "Damn it. That woman, Zhang Napao, looks like a piece of milk foam. She's always looking for trouble and has such a small heart. For just this one thing, even though she was clearly in the wrong, she actually went after Zhong Pinliang for revenge. What a piece of shit. Forget it, let them do whatever they want. Don't worry, I'm not someone you can easily bully." Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder, reassuring him. Kang Xiaobo pursed his lips, wanting to say something, but ultimately kept silent. What's meant to come will eventually come. Before the last big class, Zhong Pinliang approached Lin Yi. These so-called big classes, also known as evening self-study classes, are common in many schools. After school ends at 4:30, there's a half-hour break before the big class officially begins at 5 o'clock. The class lasts an hour and a half, with no breaks in between. "If you're a man, come with me." Zhong Pinliang's words were even more aggressive this time than last time. Last time, he'd simply said "if you have the guts," but this time, he used the phrase "if you're a man." Lin Yi was a man, of course, but he wasn't going to get angry at Zhong Pinliang's aggressive tone. But he also understood that today's matter would have to come to an end sooner or later. It was clear that Zhong Pinliang was the type to keep pestering people. As he said, you can't avoid him until you've gotten what you want. While Lin Yi didn't need to avoid him, it was enough to prove that Zhong Pinliang was a man who wouldn't give up until he achieved his goal. Okay, I'll go with you, Lin Yi nodded and stood up. At this point, many of the class hadn't left the classroom yet. They'd noticed Zhong Pinliang the first time he approached Lin Yi. So, Zhong Pinliang's reappearance in front of Lin Yi naturally made him the focus of the entire class. However, after Lin Yi agreed to go with Zhong Pinliang, the entire class erupted in an uproar. Many people lamented how Lin Yi, on his first day, didn't know the rules, and somehow had gotten in trouble with the school bully, Zhong Pinliang. But more people felt sympathy. I'll go with you, Kang Xiaobo, as if making a momentous decision, suddenly stood up, his voice as impassioned as a soldier heading to the execution ground. Kang Xiaobo was actually struggling internally. Although it was his first day meeting Lin Yi, he felt quite compatible. Especially in the tedious life of senior year, having a friend you could talk to was so rare. Zhong Pinliang was a powerful figure in the school, and Kang Xiaobo couldn't compete with him. All he could do was stand aside and try to mitigate the conflict. Fuck, Kang Xiaobo, are you screwed? Sticking up for him, Zhong Pinliang was furious when he saw his classmate actually sticking up for a new transfer student. This was a provocation, a challenge to his authority in the class. Kang Xiaobo felt a little timid under Zhong Pinliang's aggressive gaze, but he didn't back down. Instead, he cocked his head and said, Zhong Pinliang, Lin Yi is new here and doesn't know the class rules. Don't bother with him, damn it. You're lecturing me. Who do you think you are? Zhong Pinliang was immediately enraged. What's the point of not knowing the rules? He'd even peed himself on it. How could he let it go so easily? Hearing Kang Xiaobo's nonchalant tone, Zhong Pinliang was furious. Since you're so willing to step up, why don't you join in? Damn it. If I don't kill you today, I'm not Zhong Pinliang. Kang Xiaobo's expression froze, and he shuddered slightly. He had always been a well-behaved student. While he had some of that manly belligerence in him, he had never actually started a fight. Although Lin Yi didn't need Kang Xiaobo's help, he was deeply moved by his sincere friendship. He patted Kang Xiaobo on the shoulder. No problem, let's go together. Kang Xiaobo felt more confident after hearing what Lin Yi said, thinking, at worst we can get beaten together. So he straightened his chest and followed Lin Yi to the door of the classroom. Seeing Kang Xiaobo's appearance, Zhong Pinliang got angry, and he felt so depressed. A classmate of his class actually helped an outsider. He must teach this traitor a lesson. Under the guidance of Zhong Pinliang, several people went up to the rooftop of the school. Chapter 30 Fighting Violence with Violence. Sister Yao, Brother Arrow and Zhong Pinliang have gone to the rooftop. Shall we go check it out? Curious baby Chen Yushu couldn't contain her excitement again. I'm not going. The moment Chu Mengyao heard Lin Yi's name, she remembered the blushing scene that morning. She frowned and continued to look at her English textbook. She still hadn't memorized today's vocabulary. Let's go. Chen Yushu felt a little itchy. I don't have anything else to do right now. If you want to go, go by yourself. I'm not going. Chu Mengyao snorted. Zia Oshu, are you tempted by that country bumpkin? Nonsense. Chen Yushu blushed and retorted, who would be attracted to him? I just want to go and see what's going on, then go by yourself. I definitely won't go anyway, Chu Mengyao said firmly. Come on, Sister Yao, she's your study partner after all. You have to look after the owner before you beat the dog. If you hurt Lin Yi, you'll be so embarrassed. Chen Yushu clearly didn't want to give up and continued to persuade Chu Mengyao. Zia Oshu, why are you so annoying? Chu Mengyao was so annoyed that she couldn't even read the book she was holding. Okay, then I'll go with you. Let's go. Chen Yushu excitedly took Chu Mengyao's hand, and the two of them ran to the rooftop together. Let's hope we don't miss the fun. On the rooftop, Zhong Pinliang, Zhang Neipao, and Gao Xiaofu were all grinning and ready to go. Zhong Pinliang proudly put a cigarette in his mouth, and Gao Xiaofu, quick-witted, lit Zhong Pinliang's cigarette with a flick of his lighter. Zhong Pinliang puffed his cigarette briskly, then blew the smoke into Lin Yi's face. Damn it, isn't that awesome? Do it again. If you're picking on me about what happened yesterday, then fine. I admit it was my fault, Lin Yi said calmly, but what happened today has nothing to do with me, haha. You admit your mistake now, Zhong Pinliang thoroughly enjoyed the feeling of his opponent bowing his head, but he said arrogantly, "But it's too late. Also, what happened today has nothing to do with you. Are you stupid? You're still being stubborn at this hour. There are so many empty toilets. What are you doing behind me? You don't seem to have to queue, do you?" Lin Yi said seriously. "Don't bother with that kind of nonsense. Even admitting your mistake is useless. Xiaofu, show him some color." Zhong Pinliang waved his hand and said to Gao Xiaofu, "Hey, here I come." Gao Xiaofu grinned, pulled out a stool leg from behind him, and walked towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi felt a bit apologetic for kicking Zhong Pinliang for no apparent reason yesterday. He'd wanted to find a chance to talk it out, but now it seemed unnecessary. To deal with a man like that, violence was the only way. "Kid, why did you pick on Brother Liang when you could have? I think you really want to get away with it," Gao Xiaofu said as he raised the stool leg and smashed it against Lin Yi. Zhong Pinliang puffed smugly on the side, feeling quite pleased. He thought to himself, "You've got to mess with me. If I don't beat your head off today, I'm not even Zhong." Zhong Pinliang seemed to be imagining blood splattering from Lin Yi's forehead, and he couldn't help but lick his lips in excitement. "Pa!" Gao Xiaofu swung the stool leg, but Zhong Pinliang didn't see the blood splattering all over Lin Yi's face. A closer look revealed that Lin Yi had already grasped the stool leg. Gao Xiaofu frowned and tugged hard at the stool leg, but it wouldn't budge. Frustrated, he increased his force. "Xiaofu, what are you doing?" Zhong Pinliang, unaware of Gao Xiaofu's predicament, shouted at him, seeing him and Lin Yi arguing. "Brother Liang, this guy has some brute force," Gao Xiaofu said. "Nipao, come on." Zhong Pinliang was a little annoyed. He hadn't expected this kid to have some skills. Most students would be terrified once they got onto the rooftop before they could even start a fight. "Lin Yi, be careful," Kang Xiaobo warned as Lin Yi dealt with Gao Xiaofu while Zhang Neipao rushed over from the other side with a mop handle. Lin Yi had assumed these students would just try to intimidate each other, but he hadn't expected them to resort to weapons like stool legs and mop handles. A blow to the head would surely be a serious injury. Kang Xiaobo was afraid that Lin Yi couldn't handle it, so he went to face Zhang Neipao head-on. Zhang Neipao didn't expect that Kang Xiaobo, who was usually silent in class, would dare to go against him. He was very upset. So Zhang Neipao was not in a hurry to attack Lin Yi, and planned to knock Kang Xiaobo down first. Lin Yi also had a rough idea of Kang Xiaobo's strength. The way he faced the enemy, he didn't look like someone who often fought. He came to the rooftop with him purely out of brotherhood, which Lin Yi found very rare. Kang Xiaobo was scared. He had never been in a fight before, and he didn't know what to do at this moment. He could only close his eyes and rush forward with his hands waving. Zhang Neipao had never seen such an idiot. Rushing forward with his eyes closed, wouldn't that be courting death? Zhang Neipao laughed, swung the mop handle and rushed towards Kang Xiaobo. Lin Yi didn't dare to be careless this time. If he didn't take ruthless action, Kang Xiaobo would probably die here today. Thinking of this, Lin Yi was not polite anymore. He suddenly turned his hand around and pulled forward with force, directly dragging Gao Xiaofu to stagger. Then he kicked out suddenly. Before Gao Xiaofu could figure out what was going on, he let go of the stool leg in his hand and squatted down in pain, holding his stomach. Gao Xiaofu's face turned the color of liver. He felt that the barbecue he had eaten at noon was constantly rolling in his stomach, as if he was going to vomit. Kang Xiaobo rushed forward without knowing anything, and suddenly felt a sharp wind sweeping in front of him. He opened his eyes and saw a mop rod falling quickly from the direction of his head. Kang Xiaobo was shocked. It's over now. Kang Xiaobo thought of his parents, who raised him through a small business, and the girl he secretly loved. He thought, if I die, it would be such a shame. With a loud bang, Kang Xiaobo felt dizzy and everything was over. A sharp howl startled Kang Xiaobo, and he quickly touched his head. It seemed nothing was wrong. Puzzled, he opened his eyes and found Zhang Neipao clutching his head, twitching in pain on the ground, his forehead covered in blood. Lin Yi had been very measured in his attack, avoiding the back of Zhang Neipao's head or temple, two critical areas. Instead, he chose his forehead. This was a hard spot, and a blow from the stool leg wouldn't cause much damage, at most a bloody head injury and a mild concussion. Of course, Lin Yi had held back, or else Zhang Neipao's brain would have exploded no matter where he was struck. Chapter 31 A Profound Lesson. By the time Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu arrived at the rooftop, Lin Yi had already dispatched Gao Xiaofu and Zhang Neipao. Watching Gao Xiaofu and Zhang Neipao groaning on the ground, Chen Yushu felt a touch of disappointment. Despite her haste, she still missed such a spectacular moment. Sister Yao, Lin Yi is quite formidable, Chen Yushu said to Chu Mengyao beside her. What does his strength have to do with me? Chu Mengyao was also somewhat shocked. If Lin Yi's kick that sent Zhong Pinliang stumbling yesterday was a sneak attack, and his performance in the restroom today was a despicable act, then this was undoubtedly a display of true skill. Chu Mengyao knew Kang Xiaobo's abilities well. Although she had never spoken to him, boys like him were the type to shy away from a fight. Therefore, Lin Yi was the only one left fighting alone. She glanced at Gao Xiaofu and Zhang Neipao on the ground. Both were groaning, clutching parts of their bodies. This meant that Lin Yi had likely defeated them both with a single strike. I'm worthy enough to be your shield. I believe that after what happened today, Lin Yi's reputation in school will be even more reputable. Who of those annoying flies will dare approach you then? Chen Yushu said with a chuckle. Chu Mengyao snorted and said nothing. After Lin Yi knocked down Gao Xiaofu and Zhang Neipao, he patted Kang Xiaobo on the shoulder. Are you okay? Haha, it's okay. Kang Xiaobo recovered from his shock. He hadn't expected Lin Yi to be so powerful, taking down Zhong Pinliang's 2 generals in just 2 moves. He truly was a true master. Dude, you're awesome, Zhong Pinliang. I didn't want to do this, but you forced me to. I had no choice. Lin Yi walked towards Zhong Pinliang innocently. Zhong Pinliang was no pushover. Although Lin Yi was powerful, he saw that he was just using clever tactics. When Gao Xiaofu wasn't paying attention, he kicked him and snatched the stool leg from his hand. Then, when Zhang Neipao was off guard, he threw the stool leg back at him. Therefore, Zhong Pinliang didn't think Lin Yi was that powerful, and thought he was just lucky. Zhong Pinliang stretched out his hand, and a dagger was in his hand, which made him feel a little relieved. Lin Yi, don't say those useless things. If I don't kill you today, I won't be able to stay in this school in the future. After Zhong Pinliang finished speaking, he took out the shining dagger and stabbed it at Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't expect Zhong Pinliang to take such extreme measures. This kid did things without considering the consequences. If there was a murder in the school, no matter how capable his family was, they would not be able to bear the consequences. Lin Yi decided to teach him a profound lesson, otherwise if he was not standing here today, he would probably be stabbed by him. When Zhong Pinliang's dagger stabbed over, Lin Yi grabbed his wrist. Zhong Pinliang was practically mad at this moment. After Lin Yi grabbed his wrist, he continued to twist his body, trying to use inertia to stab the dagger into Lin Yi's body, shouting frantically, Lin Yi, I'll fucking kill you. The moment Zhong Pinliang rushed over, Chen Yushu couldn't help but cover her eyes. She knew Zhong Pinliang's abilities and didn't know if Lin Yi could dodge such a blow. She wanted to stop Zhong Pinliang, but it was too late. However, when Lin Yi grabbed Zhong Pinliang's wrist, Chen Yushu breathed a sigh of relief, and Chu Mengyao, standing beside him, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief as well. Lin Yi increased the force in his hand, and Zhong Pinliang suddenly felt his wrist as if it were clamped by an iron clamp, getting tighter and tighter. The pain made his entire arm tremble, and his palm subconsciously opened, and the dagger fell to the rooftop with a clack. Lin Yi grabbed Zhong Pinliang's hair, a look of disbelief on his face, and roughly lifted him to the edge of the rooftop. With a powerful push, he pushed half of his body off the rooftop. Ah! Zhong Pinliang screamed, feeling himself plummet downwards. A cold sweat immediately broke out on his forehead. The fear of death gripped Zhong Pinliang for the first time. He didn't want to die. When half of his body dangled outside the rooftop, Zhong Pinliang breathed a sigh of relief. His lower body hadn't been thrown off with him. Even so, Zhong Pinliang felt himself drenched in cold sweat. Lin Yi's grip on Zhong Pinliang's legs pushed forward again. Zhong Pinliang shuddered, no longer caring about his dignity. He howled in tears, Lin Yi, I was wrong. Let me go. Don't throw me down. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Lin Yi said nothing, pushing Zhong Pinliang's legs forward again. Brother Lin Yi, please, let me go. I won't dare to do it again. I won't dare to mess with you again. Zhong Pinliang was so scared that his voice was not right, and his whole body was shaking. I kicked you yesterday. I admit that I was wrong, Lin Yi said lightly. Brother Lin, you were right to kick me. I was wrong. You can kick me if you want in the future. Zhong Pinliang was no longer scared. I said I was wrong. It is my fault. I don't like to bully others. Lin Yi's voice turned cold, and the hand that was holding Zhong Pinliang's right leg suddenly loosened. Zhong Pinliang didn't expect Lin Yi to let go as he said, and he screamed immediately. He felt that his life had come to an end. However, Zhong Pinliang screamed for a long time before he found that he was still hanging in the air and did not fall. Zhong Pinliang felt a warm current between his legs, and he wet his pants. Okay, you were wrong yesterday, but I forgive you. It's okay. Zhong Pinliang didn't dare to speak nonsense this time, and only dared to say what Lin Yi wanted. I hope you remember what I said today. Lin Yi pulled Zhong Pinliang back from the rooftop and threw him on the ground. Zhong Pinliang felt as if he had walked through the gates of hell, and his whole body was wet, as if it had just rained. It was very easy for Lin Yi to kill Zhong Pinliang, but he knew very well that this was a school, not the war-torn North Africa. He couldn't kill Zhong Pinliang, at least not in public like a school. Let's go. Lin Yi smiled at Kang Xiaobo. Damn, Lin Yi, you're so awesome. You even managed to convince Zhong Pinliang. Kang Xiaobo hadn't expected Lin Yi to be so ruthless. His admiration for him flowed forth like the rolling Yangtze River. I, Kang Xiaobo, have decided. From now on, I'll be following you. You'll be my boss, don't be so impulsive. Fighting isn't a good thing. Being brave is fine, but don't rush into it blindly. Lin Yi smiled. I get it, Kang Xiaobo said a little sheepishly. Boss, there's a girl watching you over there. The extra chapters of the school beauty are being serialized. Please add Yu Ren's QQ official account, Yuren Erdai, and watch it official account, Yuren 22. They hold regular events and give away signed books. Chapter 32 I fought myself. Huh? Lin Yi was slightly startled. He looked up, gazing towards the rooftop entrance, only to see two graceful figures disappearing into the distance. Who else could it be but Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu? Lin Yi didn't believe they had a crush on him or anything like that. He could probably guess they were there because Chen Yushu, that girl, liked to join in the fun and had dragged Chu Mengyao along. Just to watch the fun, Lin Yi said nonchalantly. Why do I feel like it's Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu from our class? Kang Xiaobo, however, was a little excited. Boss, you've probably caught the eye of two beauties, haven't you? You're overthinking it. Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo on the back of the head, somewhat helplessly. If I'd known you were so talkative, I should have let Zhang Neipao hit you on the head like that to wake you up. Kang Xiaobo laughed heartily. Kang Xiaobo had spent 3 years of high school, 3 years of being a wimp. Unexpectedly, on the eve of graduation, he'd become so arrogant. Looking at the 3 former school bullies lying on the ground behind him, Kang Xiaobo felt an indescribable sense of relief. Brother Liang, are you okay? Ge Xiaofu's injuries were relatively minor, and his stomach pain had subsided. After Lin Yi left, he quickly ran to Zhong Pinliang's side and helped him up. It's okay, Zhong Pinliang said, his face pale, and judging by his current appearance, his words seemed insincere. Brother Liang, what are we going to do about this? Are we just going to tolerate this? Ge Xiaofu asked indignantly. Fuck you, I took a big fall today, Zhong Pinliang cursed fiercely. I didn't expect this kid to have some tricks. I almost fell into his trap. It's all my fault for being careless. Seeing Zhong Pinliang's sullen expression, Ge Xiaofu quickly admitted his fault to avoid him taking out his anger on him. That's not your fault. Zhong Pinliang waved his hand. He'd been through enough trouble himself from Lin Yi that he couldn't blame anyone else. He could only say they were no match for Lin Yi. With the 3 of us, it seems we're no match for that kid. If we want to teach him a lesson, we'll have to call in some help. How about talking to Zhu Ruiming and asking him to come forward? Ge Xiaofu suggested. If we don't talk to him and he finds out about this, we'll be in big trouble and won't be able to stay in school anymore. Zhong Pinliang waved his hand and said, I'll go get someone from my dad. Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo returned to the classroom safely, much to the relief of many of the students who had been worried about them. Most of the students still resented the arrogance of Zhong Pinliang and his group, but there were also a few who gloated over the misfortune and were slightly disappointed to see that Lin Yi and the others were fine. However, what puzzled them was that Zhong Pinliang, Ge Xiaofu, and Zhang Neipao did not return to the classroom. They did not show up until the class started. This had to explain something. Zhong Pinliang did not want Zhu Ruiming to know about this, but he still ran into Zhu Ruiming on the playground. Ge Xiaofu supported Zhang Neipao and followed behind Zhong Pinliang. The three of them walked unsteadily like defeated deserters. Zhong Pinliang, what happened to you? Zhu Ruiming was playing basketball on the playground. He saw the three people coming from a distance and they looked familiar. Upon closer inspection, they turned out to be Zhong Pinliang and his friends. Zhong Pinliang cursed his bad luck. When he was unlucky, even drinking cold water would get stuck in his teeth. How could he be seen by such a coincidence? As one of the foremost evil boys in the school, Zhong Pinliang cared a lot about his reputation. Now that another evil boy had seen his miserable state and spread the news, his reputation as an evil boy would be ruined. It's okay, Zhong Pinliang didn't want to say too much, so he waved his hand and quickened his pace. Liangzi, were you beaten up? Who beat you up? Tell me, Brother Ming, and I'll beat him up for you. Seeing the miserable state of these people, Zhu Ruiming could guess that they had lost the fight. So he shouted arrogantly. Zhong Pinliang knew Zhu Ruiming's skills. He was the best fighter among the 4 campus villains, and he also had contacts with people in society. He was really a master of swords and guns. But what happened to him today was too embarrassing. Zhong Pinliang didn't want too many people to know, so he waved his hand. It's okay, we were just sparring among ourselves, and we ended up hitting a little too hard. Since Zhong Pinliang insisted on not saying anything, Zhu Ruiming didn't ask any more questions. Watching the backs of the 3 people leaving, Zhu Ruiming shook his head. Silly, one's own people fighting one's own people? And beating them to death? Why don't I believe it, boss? Where do you live? Let's walk together after school. Kang Xiaobo was still in a state of excitement. He admired a new boss from the bottom of his heart. Lin Yi was shocked. He couldn't let others know that he walked with Chu Mengyao at night. It didn't matter to him, but Chu Mengyao would definitely not agree. Thinking of this, Lin Yi said, my home is far away. You go ahead. I'll go later, then I'll wait for you. Let's walk to the school gate together. Kang Xiaobo was reluctant to leave and wanted to talk to Lin Yi for a while. He never thought that Zhong Pinliang would be beaten to the point of being unable to get up. Okay, Lin Yi knew that if he continued to refuse, it would arouse Kang Xiaobo's suspicion. After all, they were going to walk to the school gate together. He would wait until he was far away before getting into Uncle Fu's car. Chu Mengyao and Shen Yashu had already packed up and left the classroom. Lin Yi deliberately staggered his time with him. After dawdling for a while, he put on his backpack and walked out of the classroom with Kang Xiaobo. Boss, let me tell you a secret. When walking out of the classroom, Kang Xiaobo suddenly lowered his voice and whispered. What secret? Lin Yi looked at Kang Xiaobo with some confusion. Why was this kid talking so weird? I live very close to the home of Tang Yun, the common school beauty. Kang Xiaobo smiled obscenely, and then said, in fact, I can often take the same bus with her. Damn. Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo on the back of the head. Why do you think about this? What kind of secret is this? What does it have to do with any that I live close to your home? You really have no interest in her? Kang Xiaobo asked with some disbelief. It's not that I have no interest, it's that I have never seen what she looks like. It's impossible for you to ask me to be interested in a fictitious person, Lin Yi said with some amusement. Okay, go back quickly, I have to leave too. Okay, boss. See you tomorrow. Kang Xiaobo waved to Lin Yi and disappeared in the flow of people leaving school. Chapter 33. Do you want to molest us? After Lin Yi made sure Kang Xiaobo had left, he turned and walked towards where Uncle Fu had parked his car. Sure enough, Uncle Fu did not drive away, but parked there quietly waiting for him. After Lin Yi got in the car, Uncle Fu started the car. Chu Mengyao and Shen Yashu in the back seat were obviously silent. It was not known whether it was because they had seen Lin Yi in the toilet today or because the scene on the rooftop had shocked them. In short, the two of them did not say much. Chu Mengyao also surprisingly did not complain to Uncle Fu or make sarcastic remarks to Lin Yi. Uncle Fu, stop by the bank in front. Xia Oshu and I will go to apply for a card, Chu Mengyao instructed Uncle Fu. Lin Yi was reminded by Chu Mengyao, and then he remembered that the school required every student to apply for a bank card, saying that tuition and miscellaneous fees would be deducted from it in the future. Uncle Fu did not ask any more questions, nodded, and parked the car near a bank not far away. Because it was rush hour, the traffic was heavy. This bank was especially busy, being the only one nearby and open 24 hours a day. People parked outside, creating a chaotic traffic situation. Lin Yi followed Chu Mengyao and Shen Yashu out of the car. Chu Mengyao frowned. Why are you following me? Don't forget, I'm a student here too. Lin Yi smiled. Chu Mengyao then remembered that Lin Yi had become a member of the school today, so he naturally needed a bank card. Without another word, she took Chen Yushu's hand and entered the bank together. The moment Lin Yi entered, the jade pendant around his neck suddenly reacted, startling him. This jade pendant was the one he had brought back from the cave at the foot of Xixing mountain. However, Lin Yi still hadn't figured out its purpose or how to use it. However, before any major events, the jade pendant would react subtly, as if conveying a message to Lin Yi. Although Lin Yi didn't know what the jade pendant was trying to indicate, he knew that if this situation occurred, something would inevitably happen. Just like that time in North Africa, when he and his prodigies were trapped by enemy forces, the jade pendant's repeated warnings allowed him to evade attack time and again and ultimately be rescued. Or perhaps, the jade pendant would also give similar warnings before something good happened, like when he once helped old man Lin buy a scratch lottery ticket and won 20 yuan. So, no matter what, the jade pendant's reaction put Lin Yi on alert. Inside the bank, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu received their numbers and sat in the waiting area. Lin Yi also took a number and sat next to them. Lin Yi wisely sat next to Chen Yushu, as Chu Mengyao still seemed hostile to him. Chen Yushu gave Lin Yi a meaningful look, her lips curled slightly. While waiting for his turn, Lin Yi remained in a state of intense tension. Every time the jade pendant reacted, something was about to happen, and this time was no exception. Suddenly, Lin Yi's gaze rested on a black Hyundai commercial vehicle outside the bank. "Let's go." Lin Yi abruptly stood up, grabbed Chen Yushu's hand, and said to her and Chu Mengyao, "What are you doing?" Chen Yushu was stunned, staring at Lin Yi in astonishment, her face flushing. She had never held the hand of a young person except her brother's. Suddenly, Lin Yi held her hand, and Chen Yushu was at a loss as to what to do. She froze there. "Get out of here. There's no time to explain." Lin Yi frantically tried to pull Chen Yushu up. Chu Mengyao slapped Lin Yi's hand, separating it from Chen Yushu's. In fact, it was more likely that Lin Yi instinctively let go. Otherwise, Chu Mengyao's move alone would have been impossible. "Lin Yi, what are you doing? Are you taking advantage of Xiaoshu?" Chu Mengyao glared at Lin Yi, her eyes filled with anger. "Oh, I don't have time to explain anymore. Just get out of here." Lin Yi glanced through the bank window toward the nearby street corner and spoke anxiously. "Taking advantage?" Lin Yi was stunned. What kind of advantage could he take in this situation? "Why?" Chu Mengyao snorted. "Who are you? Are you crazy? If you want to leave, leave on your own. We still need to apply for a membership card." Chen Yushu was also a little confused. What was wrong with Lin Yi? He seemed quite calm, so why did he suddenly become so impulsive? "Let's talk about it first," Lin Yi said, grabbing both of their hands at the same time. Chen Yushu and Chu Mengyao were both lifted up by Lin Yi's hands, one on each side. "Let go." Chu Mengyao was nearly mad. She hadn't expected Lin Yi to reach out for her after molesting Chen Yushu. She desperately thrashed her arms, trying to break free from Lin Yi's grasp. "Yao, let's get him out first." Chen Yushu was more reasonable than Chu Mengyao. Her shock had subsided, and she saw that Lin Yi's face no longer held that lustful expression, but now one of genuine anxiety. Chen Yushu knew Lin Yi better than Chu Mengyao. She knew he wouldn't just come to the bank and molest them. If he really wanted to take advantage of them, last night would have been the perfect time. He'd have to be crazy to do it in a crowded bank. Chu Mengyao was stunned, looking at her in surprise, confused as to why she had suddenly sided with Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at the hesitant Chu Mengyao and sighed. It was too late. He had already seen several men in black trench coats push open the bank door and walk in. Bang! A sharp gunshot immediately turned the originally orderly bank into chaos, with screams, children crying, and alarms blaring at the same time. "Don't move, anyone who moves will be killed." The leading man with a shaved head and wearing a black mask raised a black pistol and shouted at the people in the bank. Lin Yi sighed slightly. When he was struggling with Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu just now, he had missed the best opportunity to escape. It seemed unlikely that he would be able to escape now. However, Lin Yi did not blame Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. After all, they did not realize that danger was approaching at the time. They just did what they thought was normal. Chapter 34 Bank Robbery. Lin Yi wasn't one for overly heroic pursuits. On the contrary, He was a low-key person, knowing what to do and what not to do. Just like in North Africa, Lin Yi always remembered his duty was to protect the visiting delegation, not to display heroics in a war-torn landscape. So, in this situation, Lin Yi was focused on protecting Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, not on catching the robbers. The police were responsible for handling these matters, and Lin Yi didn't want to get involved. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu had clearly never encountered a situation like this before, and they were stunned, unsure what to do. Everyone, listen up. Hold your heads and stay put. I promise I won't hurt you, but if anyone dares to move, don't blame me for being rude. The bald man fired another shot into the air, and the once bustling bank fell silent in an instant. The children stopped crying, the adults stopped shouting, and everyone obediently crouched on the ground, their heads in their hands. Faced with the armed thugs, they had no choice but to obey if they wanted to survive. This wasn't to say these people lacked a sense of justice, but rather, at this point, whoever stepped forward would pay with their lives. While the bald man was lecturing, gun raised, several of his accomplices had already rushed to the bank counter, hammered down the security door, and, at gunpoint, forced the employees inside to fill designated bags with money. Hurry up. What the hell are you dawdling for? One robber shouted impatiently at a middle-aged bank clerk. If you keep dawdling, I'll shoot you. Yes, yes, the man, not very courageous, felt the threat from the robber, his hands shaking. With a bang, a wad of bills fell to the ground, scattering. Fuck you. Are you deliberately stalling for time? The robber glared, and with a bang, he fired, hitting the man in the arm. The man screamed and covered his arm. The robber's previous shots had been blanks, which had some deterrent effect, but not as strong as this one. The shot was fired directly at someone, so everyone in the bank, employees and customers alike, covered their mouths in shock, their fear of the criminals even greater, and they dared not move. The bald man, pleased with his men's ability to make an example of the rest, surveyed the bank with a triumphant glance. Sister Yao, I'm scared. Chen Yashu, though usually nonchalant, clutched Chu Mengyao's arm tightly at the crucial moment, her face turning pale. It's okay, Zia Oshu, I'll protect you. Chu Mengyao was terrified herself, but since Chen Yashu was a year younger, she had to act like an older sister, comforting her. You two don't have to comfort each other. I'll keep you safe, Lin Yi said calmly. While Lin Yi wasn't sure he could capture all the robbers alive, he felt confident that he could protect Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu from harm. Chu Mengyao moved her lips, habitually wanting to taunt Lin Yi, but seeing his determined gaze, she ultimately held her tongue. Just as the robbers were about to pack up their cash and leave the bank, the blare of police sirens rang out from outside. The bank's patrons frowned at the sirens. Sometimes, the police's arrival is a good thing, but in this situation, with the police's arrival, the robbers couldn't escape and were bound to resort to drastic measures. If they took a few more hostages, the situation would be even worse. Therefore, most people were in a gloomy mood. To them, the amount of money stolen from the bank was of little concern. Getting out safely was the most important thing. Bank robbers, listen up. You are surrounded. Please lower your weapons immediately and surrender to seek leniency. Your only way out is death, a voice shouted from a megaphone outside the bank. HMPH, the bald man snorted dismissively at the shouting outside and said to one of his men, tell them outside, if they dare to act rashly, I'll kill them. The man immediately understood and went to the bank's door, shouting, what are you yelling for? If you yell again, our boss will kill you. The police at the door fell silent. While they had to recover the bank's losses, they also had to protect the people inside. It was a tough job. After receiving the alarm, Song Lingshan, deputy captain of the police's criminal investigation team, led a large team to the bank. The team's captain, Yang Huaijin, was away for a meeting, leaving Song Lingshan in charge of the criminal investigation team. Honestly, Song Lingshan was under a lot of pressure, especially after receiving a call from the director, asking her to lead the team to handle the bank robbery. He also hinted that Chu Pengzhan's daughter and old Chen's granddaughter were also inside the bank, and no losses would be tolerated. If Chen Yashu suffered any losses, he, the director, would have to resign. So, after the gangster's threatening words uttered, Song Lingshan decisively ordered his shouters to stop and refrain from provoking the gangsters. The bald man, pleased with the police's silence, glanced around at the crouching customers, gun in hand. Many understood that the gangsters were seeking a hostage to use as a bargaining chip with the police. Thinking of this, many quickly lowered their heads, afraid to look up, fearing they might be the chosen one. After all, once held hostage, their lives would be uncertain. Facing these brutal criminals, they didn't have the courage. The bald man sneered as he approached the crowd, his gaze finally landing on Chu Mengyao, who was standing beside Lin Yi. "You. Stand up," he said, pointing his gun at her. Chu Mengyao, startled, instinctively tightened her grip on Chen Yashu's hand and looked up at the bald man. "Huh? You're quite pretty, little girl." The bald man smirked and pointed his gun at Chu Mengyao again. "I'm talking to you, stand up." Chu Mengyao had never encountered such a scene before. Her heart was beating extremely fast, and she didn't know what to do. But she forced herself not to cry, telling herself that she must not cry at this time. She had to be strong. She had to be strong. So, Chu Mengyao gritted her teeth and slowly stood up. However, before she could stand up, she felt a pair of large hands on her shoulders, pushing her down again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 I'll Be Your Hostage. I'll be your hostage. Bullying a little girl is nothing. Lin Yi stood up and said calmly to the bald man before him. Chu Mengyao stared at the man who had pinned her down in disbelief. He actually stood up for her at this moment? Wasn't he afraid of death? Chu Mengyao knew that Lin Yi had taken a lot of her father's money, but compared to life, no amount of money was worth mentioning. No one cared about their own life, and Chu Mengyao wouldn't be so foolish as to think that Lin Yi stood up just to take money and save someone from disaster. For a moment, Chu Mengyao seemed to no longer feel so hateful. At the very least, he was a man of integrity. Chu Mengyao thought to herself, Zhong Pinliang would definitely not stand up at this moment. Perhaps he was even more afraid than she was, and perhaps he was just hiding his head. Huh? Why was she comparing Lin Yi to Zhong Pinliang? Chu Mengyao shook off these unrealistic thoughts. Now was not the time to dwell on such nonsense. Fuck, the bald man hadn't expected someone to stir up trouble. With a hostage, anyone could avoid it, yet this man was charging in? He was a fool, wasn't he? Who are you? Did I call you? The bald man frowned and glared at Lin Yi fiercely. If you don't want to die, stay away. Don't you just need a hostage? Everyone else does. Lin Yi shrugged. Don't worry, I'll cooperate. Fuck you. The bald man was furious, wondering why this guy would ruin his plans. Anger welled up in him, and he raised his gun and shot at Lin Yi. With Lin Yi's current level of cultivation, the bald man couldn't hurt him even at such close range. Since practicing the Xuanyuan dragon taming art, Lin Yi's reflexes had become incredibly sharp. He could dodge the bald man's bullets with a slight turn of his body. However, the moment Lin Yi turned sideways, he was startled. Behind Lin Yi was a young girl, and the bald man's bullet was fired diagonally from above. If Lin Yi had dodged, the bullet would have hit the girl behind him, seriously injuring her if not fatally. Lin Yi gritted his teeth, turned again, and met the bullet. The bullet lodged diagonally in his thigh. Although the pain was no longer intense enough to cause Lin Yi much pain, he still frowned. Fortunately, Lin Yi's positioning was good, and the bullet sank into the flesh, avoiding the leg bone. Ah! An involuntary scream erupted from the crowd, and Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu simultaneously covered their mouths. Lin Yi had actually been shot. However, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu saw it clearly. Lin Yi could have easily dodged the shot, but he took it out of fear of injuring the girl behind him. Thinking of this, Chu Mengyao's eyes turned towards the girl behind Lin Yi with a hint of anger. Fuck you, there are some who aren't afraid of death. The bald man was surprised. Was this guy in front of him mentally ill? Boss, there are more and more cops outside. One of the robbers' men ran over and whispered to the bald man. Fuck, the bald man cursed, pointing his gun at Lin Yi's head and swearing, since you're willing to be a hostage, let's go together. Maliu, watch this kid, okay? Maliu pulled out his gun and pointed it at Lin Yi's head, saying, kid, who told you to act so arrogant now? You want to be a hero, but it's not that easy. Lin Yi said nothing, debating whether to attack here or wait. But here, the criminals were too scattered, making it difficult for him to act, and there were too many people. If there was a large-scale chaos, it would be even more difficult to act. Girl, stand up. The bald man kept his eyes on Chu Mengyao and pointed his gun at her again. For some reason, Chu Mengyao suddenly became less scared. He stopped Chen Yushu, who wanted to stand up with him with his eyes, and stood up resolutely. Chen Yushu wanted to stand up with Chu Mengyao, but Chu Mengyao's eyes told her not to go, and to go back and find a way to save them. So Chen Yushu naturally would not act on impulse. Let's go. The bald man put the muzzle of the gun to Chu Mengyao's head and said. Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Why did the bald man keep targeting Chu Mengyao? Was he attracted by Chu Mengyao's beauty? Lin Yi could only think so, because he didn't figure out that there was anything else about Chu Mengyao that was worthy of the bald man's attack. It stands to reason that having only one hostage is enough. When negotiating with the police, it is not about how many hostages you have, but whether you have any hostages. Even if you have one hostage, the police will not act rashly. Listen up, police officers outside. The bald man's subordinate who had previously spoken to the police stood at the bank entrance and continued shouting, everyone, retreat 100 meters. And, once we're in the car, don't send anyone to follow us, or we'll kill the hostages. Outside the bank, Song Lingshan frowned at the gangster's words. She was naturally reluctant to retreat 100 meters, but thinking of the hostages inside, she sighed and told her men, retreat. In reality, Song Lingshan didn't advocate a high-profile siege of the bank. That would only put psychological pressure on the gangsters and drive them to act madly. If they adopted a covert encirclement and stalking strategy, perhaps they wouldn't choose hostages. However, the director dismissed Song Lingshan's suggestion as individualistic heroism, which frustrated her. The bald man, pleased with the police's actions, pointed his gun at Chu Mengyao's head, while Mali Wu pointed his gun at Lin Yi's head, and they left the bank together. Yao, Uncle Fu, who was standing next to Song Lingshan, suddenly saw Chu Mengyao in the hands of the gangsters. He was immediately shocked and exclaimed, Mr. Li, do you know the hostage? Song Lingshan had a bad feeling in her heart. That is Mr. Chu's daughter. Chu Mengyao. Uncle Fu was very nervous. Mr. Chu was on a business trip. If something happened to the young lady at this moment, he would be guilty. What? Song Lingshan was stunned and became even more anxious. Why did the gangsters choose Chu Pengzhan's daughter as a hostage? The more you fear something, the more it will come. Song Lingshan had to use the intercom to ask the director for instructions on the current situation. Report to the director. One of the hostages is Chu Pengzhan's daughter Chu Mengyao. The police chief was also in a cold sweat at this moment. Hearing that the gangsters really chose Chu Mengyao as a hostage, he was immediately shocked. Be safe. Be sure to be safe. Don't act rashly. Chapter 36, The Infuriating License Plate. But the snipers here are ready. They have a 90% chance of killing the robbers, Song Lingshan argued. You said it was 90%, but what about the 10%? What if Miss Chu gets hurt? We'll both be in trouble, the director scolded. I told you not to act rashly. Satisfy the robbers' demands first, then make plans. I understand. Song Lingshan was frustrated. She had originally wanted her men to take a risk and use snipers to kill the robbers. But now, she didn't dare to give such a risky order. Without the director's support, what else could she do? The bald man, pleased with the police's indifference, quickly led his men to a black Hyundai commercial vehicle on the side of the road, started the car, and drove away. Because the robbers had two hostages, Song Lingshan didn't dare to act rashly. She could only watch helplessly as the robbers got into the black Hyundai commercial vehicle and drove away. Uncle Fu was very anxious as he watched the shadow of the Hyundai car leaving. He had just called Mr. Chu, but the call could not be connected. Now the robbers took Chu Mengyao as a hostage, and Uncle Fu was really panicked. Mr. Li, our police will handle this matter, please rest assured. After Song Lingshan finished speaking to Uncle Fu, she took out the walkie-talkie. Attention, all squadrons, attention, all squadrons. The robber's car is a black Hyundai commercial van with a license plate number Song A74110. It has now left the bank. If you find its whereabouts, please be prepared to track it. 74110. After Song Lingshan issued the order, she muttered the license plate number again. This robber really didn't take him seriously. He actually got a license plate number 74110. Thinking of this, Song Lingshan took out the intercom again, entered a call number, and then said, Traffic Police Team. I am Song Lingshan from the Criminal Police Team. Help me check a car number, Song A 74110. Well, what? It's a Buick sedan? Not a Hyundai commercial vehicle? Is that right? Okay, then it's okay. Damn the cloned car, it actually has such an arrogant license plate number. This is obviously an eye drop, this is a naked provocation. At this moment, Song Lingshan was about to explode, but it really matched the robber's car number. As soon as the bald man got in the car, he ordered his men to tie up the hands of Chu Mengyao and Lin Yi, and looked at Lin Yi with some complacency. You idiot, what do you have to do with it? Why are you joining in the fun? The person we are looking for is Miss Chu, but you just pretend to be a hero, so it's no wonder that we arrested you together. After hearing the bald man's words, Lin Yi's heart suddenly moved. This man actually knew Chu Mengyao. He had never expected this. He had assumed the hostages were chosen randomly, and that the bald man was obsessed with Chu Mengyao because he thought she was beautiful and wanted to take advantage of her. But he had never imagined these people had a plan, that they were targeting her. You know me. Chu Mengyao was shocked. She had never expected these criminals to know her. Surprised, she couldn't help but ask. Yes, how could I not? She's the daughter of the chairman of Pengzhan Group. The bald man relished this feeling of superiority. If I don't know you, why would I arrest you? Why are you arresting me? Chu Mengyao already felt something was wrong. It seemed like these people had a plan, targeting her. Arrest you? Haha, what do you think? The bald man grinned, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth. Tell me what's so special about you that I should arrest you, me? Chu Mengyao was shocked. Could this man be a pervert? After arresting her, he wanted to molest her? Thinking of this, Chu Mengyao suddenly felt that it was very likely. She was so beautiful, so sexy, with such big eyes, such white skin, and such firm breasts, any man would be tempted. No, Chu Mengyao wanted to cry. If she was ruined by such an ugly guy, she really didn't want to live. If she could choose, she would rather give it to Lin Yi than to him. Why Lin Yi? The only person Chu Mengyao could think of now was Lin Yi. Chu Mengyao hated that annoying guy Zhong Pinliang to the extreme, and the only man she could choose from besides Uncle Fu seemed to be Lin Yi, right? Thinking about it, she was really a failure. Her social circle was too narrow and she didn't know any other men. How could she be so unlucky? Chu Mengyao sighed at her miserable life while desperately thinking of countermeasures. Seeing Chu Mengyao's face flushing and pale, the bald man guessed that she must have had some wrong ideas, and immediately said with disdain, "Fuck. I have plenty of pretty girls, and I don't care about a young girl like you. Someone must have paid me to arrest you." Chu Mengyao was relieved to hear the bald man's words. It turned out that he didn't have that kind of idea about her. That was good. "Boss, you don't like me, but I do. How about letting me have some fun with her?" The man named Liu immediately showed lustful eyes and wanted to touch Chu Mengyao. "Liu, you damn well better shut up. This girl can't be touched. The higher-ups have told us to keep her intact." The bald man glared at Liu and scolded him. "Oh, what a shame, eh?" Liu seemed quite afraid of the bald man. He sat back down obediently after being scolded by him, not daring to make any further rash moves. "She's so pretty. If I could have a go at her, my life wouldn't be in vain. Don't talk nonsense. After this is over, I'll give you the money to find some female students and have fun with them however you want." The bald man waved his hand impatiently, annoyed by Liu's impatience. Chu Mengyao breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, these people weren't after sex, otherwise her innocence would be ruined. However, the abomination was that the bald man had actually tied her little hand to that bastard Lin Yi's, allowing him to take advantage of her for nothing. However, the thought of Lin Yi's hand brought a warm feeling to Chu Mengyao's heart. Remembering the moment he'd used his hand to hold her down, she suddenly felt an indescribable feeling. What was wrong with her? Had her impression of him changed just because of such a small gesture? Humph, no, it's not that easy. However, if it were someone else, would they stand up for him at that moment? What on earth was Lin Yi thinking? Chu Mengyao was a little confused about Lin Yi's thoughts. "Fuck, you silly girl, at this time, you are still fucking grinning." The bald man was immediately upset when he saw Chu Mengyao blushing and giggling. This was an insult to him. He was a kidnapper, and this girl was actually laughing in front of him. Wasn't that looking down on him? Chu Mengyao screamed out before she realized that she had been distracted without realizing it. Chapter 37. Who kills who? Just scolding women, what's the point? Lin Yi curled his lips and looked at the bald man. Hey, bald man, your real purpose isn't to rob a bank, right? Robbing a bank is just a cover, right? Your real purpose is to go after Chu Mengyao? Humph, so what if you figured it out? You're still my prisoner, aren't you? At this point, the bald man no longer needed to deny it. In his eyes, Lin Yi, this pretentious guy, was his prey. He could do whatever he wanted, and he wasn't afraid of him knowing his purpose. Even if he told him, what would happen? You won't get far. The police will follow you and kill you. Lin Yi looked at the bald man with some sympathy. Impossible, I've already thought of a way out, the bald man said proudly. I think the police should be confused by now. There are more than one similar car, really. Lin Yi was somewhat impressed by the bald man. He had some intelligence and was not that stupid. But it was useless. His most stupid move was letting Lin Yi get in the car, which doomed his operation to failure. Meanwhile, Songshan nervously clutched the intercom, maintaining constant contact with the various squads. Captain Song, this is Liu Wongli from the 1st Squadron. We've spotted a Hyundai van with license plate number Song A74110. Please give us directions. The voice of Liu Wongli, the captain of the 1st Squadron, came over the intercom. Follow them, be careful and don't let them see you, Songshan instructed. Yes, Liu Wongli finished, and told the driver to start the car. Songshan breathed a sigh of relief. HMPH, no matter how clever you are, you didn't realize I had tracking personnel stationed at every intersection? Let's see where you can escape this time. Songshan was just feeling smug when another report came over the intercom. Captain Song, this is Zhang Xiahang, captain of the 2nd Squadron. We've spotted a Hyundai van with license plate number Song A74110. Please give us directions. This time, it was Zhang Xiahang, the captain of the 2nd Squadron, who spoke. What? Songshan was stunned, then asked, where did you see it? On Zhonghun Road. Please give us directions, Zhang Xiahang said. Zhonghun Road? That's not right. Liu Wongli from the 1st Squadron was seen on Weimin Road earlier. Songshan was puzzled. How did the kidnappers drive the car? Did they circle and then come back? Still, Songshan instructed, follow them. Don't let them notice you. Yes, Zhang Xiahang followed Songshan's orders. Captain Song? This is Sun Jiaxia from the 3rd Squadron. We've spotted the Hyundai van with license plate number Song A74110. Please give us instructions. Sun Jiaxia, the captain of the 3rd Squadron, came over the intercom again. You saw it too. Songshan's head suddenly raised. She realized she might have been tricked. This time, the other party had deployed more than one vehicle with license plate number 74110. This time, they had truly fulfilled their promise. Songshan was furious. Songshan was furious at being tricked by these kidnappers. If only Captain Yang were here, he would have seen through their scheme instantly. She had actually fallen for it. It was truly shameful. The captain of the 4th Squadron's voice came over the phone again. Before he could finish, Songshan asked, have you spotted the Hyundai van with license plate number Song A74110? Yes, Captain Song, you're amazing. We saw the Hyundai van with license plate number Song A74110. What do we do now? The captain asked. Follow it. Songshan felt a sense of collapse. She was now almost certain that the kidnappers had followed the 1st and 2nd 74110s, distracting the police, and then fled the same way. They must have gotten far away by now. Meanwhile, why kidnap? Lin Yi narrowed his eyes, eager to understand why this man had kidnapped Chu Mengyao. If he was just after money, then he'd robbed at least $1 million in this bank robbery. Could they be using this to blackmail Chu Pengzhan? You know, this is a very dangerous thing. There's a good chance you won't be able to extort money and end up getting caught by the police. Why? Good question. The bald man curled his lips, pointed to the bundles of money on the ground, and said, simple, I did it for the money. For the money? Lin Yi frowned and asked, kidnapping? To blackmail Chu Mengyao's father? And then make him pay the ransom? You don't need to know that, the bald man said, feeling a little annoyed that Lin Yi was asking too many questions. It doesn't matter if you talk about it. At least you should know the truth before you die, right? Lin Yi looked so curious, so innocent that it was hard to refuse. The bald man looked at Lin Yi and thought, it doesn't matter if I tell this guy, I'll kill him sooner or later. So he said, someone gave us money to kidnap this girl. What are we going to do after the kidnapping? Lin Yi asked. Not yet. Wait for a call, the bald man said. Then who ordered you to kidnap her? Lin Yi continued. I don't know. Brother Chihua introduced her, the bald man said. Who's Brother Chihua? Lin Yi asked again. Fuck you. Why are you so talkative? Damn it. If you ask me again, I'll kill you, the bald man, growing increasingly annoyed by Lin Yi's questions, lashed out with curses. Oh, fine, then don't move, or I'll kill you. Lin Yi suddenly had a gun in his hand, and instantly pointed it at the bald man's temple. You, the bald man's eyes widened. Who could tell him what was going on? Aren't this guy's hands tied? How could he have a gun? Inside the car, the other kidnappers were also stunned, confused. Lin Yi pressed the gun to their leader's head. How did you untie the ropes? The bald man couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. Weren't Lin Yi's hands tied together? Oh, when I was a kid, I was a bit clumsy. When I played cat's cradle, I'd often tie my hands together in knots. After a while, they would untie themselves, Lin Yi said. Wow, the bald man opened his mouth in surprise. Is this possible? Can cats tangle be so awesome? However, the bald man was still surprised. Then how do you have a gun? I took it from that Maliu. Lin Yi pouted at Maliu, who was closest to him. Maliu subconsciously touched his trouser pocket and was shocked. His gun was indeed gone. It seemed that it really fell into Lin Yi's hands. The bald man was completely silent this time. He was convinced. What was going on? This kid was too awesome, right? In his heart, he cursed Maliu's ancestors for 18 generations. Okay, don't move. Although your boss's head looks very shiny and bright, it will basically explode with one shot, Lin Yi said it easily, but the bald man couldn't help but shudder. Chapter 38 Don't Shoot. Lin Yi banged the gun against the bald man's head again and said, tell them not to move, or I'll kill the hostages. You, don't do that. The bald man really wanted to cry. Wasn't that what he and his men had just said to the police at the bank? Retribution had come upon him so soon. What was retribution in this life? Just like now. Yeah, good, Lin Yi nodded, satisfied, and asked, can you tell me now? Who is Brother Chihua? He's my boss. I don't know anything else about him. He told me to do this. Brother, don't shoot. The bald man was also a coward. Despite his previous boasts of a huge fortune, when his life was truly threatened, even the bald man was afraid. He had originally taken this mission for the money, to live a carefree life, but risking his life wasn't worth it. Lin Yi frowned. It was clear that the bald man was just a small fry, with no idea of the inside story. Okay, stop the car, Lin Yi ordered the bald man. Stop? For what? The bald man was stunned. Of course we're going to stop. Are you planning to kidnap her now? Lin Yi glared and asked. I'm not saying you're not going to take us to the police station. The bald man was a little surprised. He didn't expect Lin Yi to let them go. What does that have to do with me? Lin Yi rolled his eyes. I'm not a police officer. Do they pay me? The bald man was overjoyed after hearing Lin Yi's words. He had originally thought Lin Yi was going to take them to the police station, but now that they had escaped, he was naturally overjoyed. Although the mission wasn't completed, they had robbed a huge sum of money from the bank, enough for them to spend for the rest of their lives. So, the bald man excitedly ordered the man driving the car to stop. Lin Yi searched the bald man's possessions for a gun and tossed it to Chu Mengyao. Take this and aim at their wheels later. Oh, Chu Mengyao didn't know why Lin Yi said that, but she took the gun and held it tightly. Lin Yi asked Chu Mengyao to get out of the car first, and then he got out as well. As he did so, he said, you can choose to shoot me or Mengyao, but you must kill me. If you don't kill me, I'll aim at your gas tank. Do you understand, bald man? Lin Yi patted the bald man's bald head as he spoke. No, the bald man shuddered for no apparent reason. Lin Yi was a bit of a creep, and he didn't want to cause any more trouble. As Lin Yi got out of the car, he paid close attention to the jade pendant's reaction, but it showed no sign of any reaction. Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the bald man and his men had made a wise choice. If Lin Yi's jade pendant had reacted in the slightest, Lin Yi would have restrained the bald man again and forced him out of the car with him. After Lin Yi and Chu Mengyao exited the vehicle, the Hyundai commercial vehicle sped away. As Lin Yi had predicted, The bald man didn't make any unfavorable moves. What are you looking at me for? Why don't you call Uncle Fu and have him pick us up? Lin Yi said, looking at Chu Mengyao, who was staring at him blankly, with a mixture of anger and amusement. Oh, Chu Mengyao said in disbelief. Were we out of danger just like that? But watching the Hyundai van drive away, it seemed so. But what was Lin Yi doing? He actually spoke to her in a commanding tone. Hey, why didn't you just take all their guns and send them to the police station? Chu Mengyao was still a little upset by Lin Yi's last words. What did he mean by saying he wasn't a police officer and the police wouldn't pay him a salary? Could he just do something good? That carload of cowards is full of them. With their boss at gunpoint, they're afraid to act rashly. But once they're taken to the police station, they'll know they're doomed, and they'll definitely make a last-ditch effort, Lin Yi said. But you have their boss to hold you hostage, Chu Mengyao asked, puzzled. You're about to be doomed, and you're still going to care about your boss? Please, don't be so naive. Okay, Lin Yi said helplessly, it was pure luck that we escaped this time. Hey, who the hell did you mess with? These people are clearly after you, HMPH. What a boast. Chu Mengyao was annoyed by Lin Yi's attitude. You're my henchman, okay? How dare you talk to your master like that? Lin Yi was speechless. This woman was truly unreasonable. Chen Yushu sat in Uncle Fu's car, wiping away tears. Chu Mengyao and Lin Yi had been captured. Who knew what would happen? At best, they might be released. At worst, Chen Yushu couldn't bear to think about it. Uncle Fu was also on the phone with a worried look on his face. It was at this critical moment that he couldn't contact Chu Pengzhan, which made him very anxious. Suddenly, the phone rang. Uncle Fu was startled and picked up the phone. When he saw the caller ID, a mixed expression of worry and joy appeared on his face. This was Chu Mengyao's call, but it was not necessarily from Chu Mengyao herself. It was also possible that the robbers used Chu Mengyao's phone to call him, but no matter what, there was finally news. Hello? Hello, Uncle Fu answered the phone carefully. Uncle Fu, come and pick me up. For the first time, Chu Mengyao felt that Uncle Fu's voice was so kind. Coming with Uncle Fu were Song Lingshan and other police personnel. Sister Yao, Chen Yushu was the first to rush out of the car, hugging Chu Mengyao tightly. I was so scared. I thought I'd never see you again, you stupid girl, you're just talking nonsense. Chu Mengyao had already recovered from her shock, and hearing Chen Yushu's words about her, she was suddenly in a state of confusion. Mr. Lin, are you okay? Uncle Fu asked hurriedly, seeing the blood on Lin Yi's body. You got shot on the thigh, isn't it serious? Lin Yi limped to his feet. It really hurt, you know, it hurt a little bit, the recoil of the thing. Uncle Fu was truly impressed by Lin Yi. He had been shot, and he said he was fine. What a man, a real man. He wondered if Lin Yi would frown when he knew Uncle Fu's thoughts. He remembered that there was a female celebrity who was nicknamed a real man, Mr. Lin, right? Please come back with us to the police station to record your statement. Song Lingshan walked over and said to Lin Yi in a formal manner. Lin Yi frowned immediately. Is this girl blind? Can she see that she is injured? Suddenly, he said in a somewhat annoyed manner, do you need me to take off my pants for you to see? Chapter 39. Did you go through the back door? Huh? Song Lingshan was stunned, then her face flushed, and she was shaking with anger. How dare this man act so rudely towards her? How could this be tolerated? However, out of consideration for Uncle Fu's face, she would have slapped Lin Yi in the face. Captain Song, Mr. Lin means that his leg was injured by a bullet. If you don't believe it, he can show you. Uncle Fu saw Song Lingshan like this and knew that she had misunderstood, and hurriedly explained on behalf of Lin Yi. Song Lingshan then noticed the blood on Lin Yi's pants and felt a little embarrassed. Is that so? Then go to the hospital first, but in her heart, she was very disgusted with Lin Yi. He said he was injured and took off his pants. Although she was a police officer, she was also a girl after all. How could he do such a thing? A qualified police officer must first possess keen observation skills. There's a large blood stain on my pants, and you didn't even notice it. I really don't understand how you got the job as captain. Did you get it through a back door? Lin Yi saw the tinge of disgust in Song Lingshan's eyes and said calmly. Song Lingshan's lack of investigative experience was her greatest weakness. This had always been a concern for her, but those who knew her credentials understood that while Song Lingshan had family connections, she didn't get the job through back doors. She was previously a combat instructor in the Special Forces, holding the rank of major. She transferred to the local police station to serve as deputy captain of the Criminal Investigation Squad, a position she held without question. Furthermore, her skills were among the best in the squad. With the exception of Captain Yang Huaijin, no one else could match her. But Lin Yi's words struck a chord with her. While she was certainly skilled in combat, that didn't translate to prowess in other areas. Having recently transitioned to the military, her greatest weakness was the meticulous observation required to solve cases. The team's respect for her was entirely due to her skills, not her ability to solve cases. So Song Lingshan was constantly learning, silently accompanying Yang Huaijin whenever he went on a police call, aware of her own shortcomings. However, Yang Huaijin, who had retired 2 years earlier than her, possessed a wealth of experience in solving cases, a fact Song Lingshan admired but also felt a touch of jealousy. But today, Captain Yang Huaijin was away on a business trip, leaving Song Lingshan to go it alone. This left her fuming when Lin Yi mocked her, leaving her furious. Lin Yi's words were all facts, leaving her unable to refute them. Song Lingshan could only grit her teeth, feeling helpless. It was just a bullet wound, something Lin Yi could handle on his own. In war-torn North Africa, who would go to the hospital after being shot? They'd probably be killed by the enemy before they even reached the hospital. But with Song Lingshan by his side, Lin Yi didn't want to display too much prominence. Lin Yi hadn't expected Song Lingshan to actually challenge him, actually following him to the hospital to give a statement. But let her be. Lin Yi had nothing to hide from her. Song Lingshan didn't dare to be overly rude to Chu Mengyao, Chu Pengzhan's little princess, and didn't force her to go to the police station. Instead, she took her statement in Uncle Fu's car. Zia Oshu, how's your brother? Song Lingshan and Chen Yashu had known each other for a long time. And she actually felt quite guilty about Chen Yashu's brother. HMPH. What do you care? Chen Yashu sneered, turned her head away, and didn't give Song Lingshan a good look. Song Lingshan gave a wry smile, turned around, and said to Chu Mengyao, Miss Chu, let's take a statement. As Chu Mengyao recounted what had happened, Chen Yashu couldn't help but exclaim in amazement, wow! Lin Yi is so powerful? No way. Yao, I told you, letting him be your shield is absolutely right. He guarantees to help you deal with any man's harassment. Huh? Who wants him? Chu Mengyao remembered Lin Yi's arrogant attitude from before, and felt unhappy. Song Lingshan was also a little curious listening from the side. It seemed that this man named Lin Yi was not just a talker. Although Song Lingshan was very dissatisfied with Lin Yi's accusation that she had got in through the back door, she was not the kind of person who was irrational. From Chu Mengyao's account, this Lin Yi was quite brave and resourceful. After being shot, he was still able to persist in fighting the criminals. This spirit was very commendable. Song Lingshan, however, was scornful of Lin Yi's remark, I'm not a police officer, do they pay me? Can't you just be a good citizen and do something righteous? However, after listening to Chu Mengyao's account of Lin Yi's reasons, Song Lingshan suddenly realized that Lin Yi had done nothing wrong. If he had truly angered the robbers, neither of them would have escaped. However, she was puzzled by the fact that the robbers had specifically targeted Chu Mengyao. Had they gone through so much trouble just to kidnap her? It's possible they did it to conceal their actions and avoid the Chu family's suspicion. There could also be other motives, but the answer remains unknown. We can only wait until the bald man's gang is apprehended before we can make a final decision. Miss, I think Mr. Lin is a very qualified person. Mr. Chu's judgment is correct. With him by your side, I can finally rest assured, Uncle Fu said with a lingering fear, but he now fully understood Mr. Chu's intentions. This Lin Yi was indeed quite extraordinary. Chu Mengyao moved her lips, wanting to refute Uncle Fu's words, but somehow, the memory of Lin Yi standing up for her in the bank kept replaying in her mind. Because Song Lingshan was there, the hospital didn't ask too many questions about Lin Yi's gunshot wound. Treating a patient with a gunshot wound under the guise of the police didn't require the hospital to bear any responsibility. Lin Yi was wheeled into the operating room. The surgeon told the nurse, prepare the anesthetic. I'm going to remove the bullet. No need. Lin Yi had a strong dislike for Western medicine like anesthetics. He didn't particularly enjoy using them. While a single or two injections wouldn't be a problem, excessive use could have adverse effects. The surgeon was stunned, thinking, do the people who sent him here all look poor? They can't even afford anesthetics, right? It would be excruciatingly painful without it. The nerves in the thigh are densely packed. Although this was a simple surgical procedure, the pain was far greater than that of many major surgeries. Young man, it will be very painful without anesthesia. The surgeon was an old expert in his 40s, so he naturally thought Lin Yi was still a young man. Chapter 40. Do you believe what he says? It's okay, Lin Yi said with a relaxed smile. I don't like anesthesia, it can have side effects. The surgeon was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Since Lin Yi insisted, he had no choice but to comply. This type of surgery wasn't life-threatening, so he wouldn't force it. Young man, you better hold on, the surgeon said, then instructed the nurse to prepare for the operation. Lin Yi's fear of pain didn't mean he wouldn't feel it, but this level of pain was within his tolerable range. Back then, falling from the summit of Xixing mountain was far more painful than this. It was a pain that dislocated every part of his body. Young man, how did you get hurt? The surgeon, Sun Weimin, was an experienced surgeon. He was skilled in both medicine and his ability to judge people. Although Lin Yi had been shot, he didn't look like a criminal suspect sent by the police. That's why Sun Weimin took the initiative to speak to him, distracting him and alleviating his pain. In the bank, I got beaten by robbers. Lin Yi, of course, understood what Sun Weimin meant. Lin Yi's attention wasn't easily distracted. Lin Yi had been trained from childhood to never let his guard down or lose focus under any circumstances. So that's how it is. Sun Weimin, upon hearing this, realized that, as he had suspected, the young man wasn't a suspect but a victim. So, he opened up. It was a tense situation, wasn't it? Not bad, Lin Yi smiled. Actually, I could have gotten away from that situation, but there was a girl behind me. If I had gotten away, she would have been in trouble. So I had to take the bullet. Wasn't that a bit foolish? Lin Yi had seen similar news reports in the mountains before. Those who did good deeds were labeled foolish, while those who were cold and selfish were considered smart. So, at this point, Lin Yi felt a little self-deprecating. Upon hearing Lin Yi's injuries, Sun Weimin was instantly filled with admiration for the young man. Young man, you're truly remarkable. This isn't a foolish act, this is a heroic act saving a beautiful woman. So, did that girl fall in love with you at first sight? Then I was taken hostage by the robbers. Who knows what she thought? Lin Yi smiled wryly. At that time, she probably wouldn't have thought I was taking the bullet for her. After all, they were shooting at me. That's pretty good. Young man, you know how to sacrifice yourself for others. Sun Weimin admired Lin Yi greatly. What's your name? Lin Yi. It's on the medical record, Lin Yi said with a smile. Oh, sorry, I see so many patients every day that I rarely pay attention to these things, Sun Weimin said a little sheepishly. The operation went smoothly. Lin Yi didn't scream or move his legs, so Sun Weimin completed the minor procedure very quickly. Lin Yi's reaction surprised him. Without any anesthetic, Lin Yi was so cooperative and persevered. It seemed that this young man's perseverance was really remarkable. After the operation, Songshan came to the ward to take Lin Yi's statement, but ran into the surgeon, Sun Weimin. Sun Weimin naturally praised Lin Yi. Officer Song, this young man is really rare. He is selfless and should be a role model for social publicity. You should give him an award for outstanding citizens who bravely do good deeds. What do you mean? Although Songshan was somewhat impressed by Lin Yi's calmness in the face of the criminals, it was not selfless at all. When Chu Mengyao took the statement, she did not go into details about Lin Yi's blocking the gun in the bank. She only said that Lin Yi was shot by the criminals, so Songshan did not know the hidden details. Oh? Don't you know? Lin Yi could have dodged the gunshot, but he saw a girl behind him. If he had dodged, she would have been in trouble, so he just took it. Sun Weimin praised him. I've never met a guy with such a strong sense of justice and compassion. Songshan frowned. Is this true? Why does it sound like a story? Besides, how can you, Lin Yi, dodge a bullet just because you want to? You have to know that you're a special forces instructor, and even if you can't guarantee that you can dodge a bullet, is this Lin Yi better than me? Songshan couldn't believe it. Dr. Sun, who told you that? Lin Yi told me himself, Sun Weimin said. He said it himself. Songshan was stunned. How could you believe what he said? He was trying to trick you, right? I said I could kill an elephant with one punch. I wonder if anyone believed me. Sun Weimin noticed Songshan's skepticism and said with a smile, this guy didn't even need anesthetic when he removed the bullet. and he didn't even complain of pain. With that kind of tenacity, I believe what he says. Sun Weimin had plenty of other things to do, so he couldn't afford to chat with Song Lingshan. After a few words, he walked away, while Song Lingshan pushed open the door and entered Lin Yi's room. Lin Yi wanted to leave immediately, but that would have been too shocking. After all, his injury was in his leg, not his arm, so he pretended to lie down on the bed. Lin Yi, can we take your statement now? For some reason, seeing Lin Yi lying on the bed with his legs crossed made Song Lingshan think he deserved a beating. Alright, Lin Yi lay in bed, looking up at Song Lingshan. He realized that her pose and figure were comparable to that porn star he'd seen that morning. Furthermore, upon closer inspection, Song Lingshan was quite beautiful. The allure of uniform. Perhaps sensing something amiss in Lin Yi's gaze, Song Lingshan instinctively followed his gaze, her face flushing. Her long, intense training had left her in exceptionally good shape, a figure that troubled her. She even considered liposuction, but the thought of it being too embarrassing made her give up. Back in the special forces, it was fine. Under strict discipline, no one paid much attention to her figure, so she didn't take it too seriously. But after joining the workforce, she often had to wear plain clothes and frequent mixed-race places, which made her feel a little uneasy. Men kept eyeing her with lustful eyes, and she wanted to kick them to death. But what Song Lingshan didn't expect was that Lin Yi dared to stare at her like that even though she was wearing a uniform. It was unforgivable. Song Lingshan snorted coldly and sat on the chair beside Lin Yi's bed, thinking about how to give this guy a little punishment. Suddenly thinking of the injury on his leg, Song Lingshan came up with a plan. Chapter 41 The Legend. Song Lingshan gave a sly smile. Lin Yi, where are you injured? Left leg, thigh. Lin Yi, assuming this was part of the transcript, answered truthfully. Oh, let me see, is it right there? Song Lingshan pursed her lips and reached out to pinch Lin Yi's left leg, seemingly examining it, but actually applying considerable force. Song Lingshan felt so good, her face flushed with excitement. She imagined she could see Lin Yi howling like a ghost. I've let you tease me, let you look at me with ill intent. Today, I'll let you experience my power and make you wish you were dead. Hiss, Lin Yi gasped, a quizzical expression on his face. Is this girl crazy? How could she examine someone's injuries like that? With such force? Luckily, he had considerable stamina, or he would have cried out. When Lin Yi didn't let out the expected howl, Song Lingshan felt a little disappointed. Was she too kinda not pushing hard enough? So, Song Lingshan increased the pressure again. Ouch, Lin Yi finally let out a low growl. Holy shit, this isn't the way to play it. Lin Yi was about to lash out when he heard a cry of surprise from the ward door. Sister Huyaoio, what are they doing? Chen Yushu asked Chu Mengyao, blushing. Zia Oshu, we can't keep watching or we'll lose our purity. Chu Mengyao blushed as well. Yes, what are they doing? Oh, Chen Yushu was no fool. Sister Lingshan is so hot-tempered, actually doing this in the hospital? Is this the so-called intimate contact? At this moment, Song Lingshan had her back to the door, her right hand pinching Lin Yi's leg vigorously. Lin Yi's expression was once again bewildered, which inevitably led to misunderstandings. From the back, it was difficult to clearly see where Song Lingshan's hand was, making it easy to misunderstand. Song Lingshan, overhearing the discussion outside the door, was initially baffled. Then, Chen Yushu's words about close contact gave her a sudden jolt. Looking at Lin Yi's expression, it was hard not to misunderstand. Song Lingshan's face flushed as if she had a fever. Just as she was about to explain, she heard a cough. Uncle Fu, along with Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu, had arrived at Lin Yi's ward. Seeing the situation, Uncle Fu couldn't help but cough. Officer Song, Mr. Lin hasn't fully recovered yet, and it's not appropriate for him to do anything else in the hospital. In public, I didn't. Song Lingshan was completely lost for words, unsure how to explain to Uncle Fu. Forget it, you guys pack up quickly, we'll come back later. Uncle Fu shook his head and pulled Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu out of the ward. She wondered if she was getting old. Had she lost touch with the times? She hadn't realized. The officer Song she'd met before was quite conservative. Why was he so open today? Could it be that she's completely infatuated with Lin Yi? Yao, that Song Lingshan is trying to steal my life. Leaving the ward, Chen Yushu angrily raised her fist. What do you mean by stealing my life? Chu Mengyao's face flushed red, her heart pounding at the thought of what she'd witnessed. Lin Yi was your shield, what if she snatched him away? Chen Yushu said bitterly. Sister Yao, you can't let her succeed. What does that have to do with me? Chu Mengyao snorted, her feeling that Lin Yi was no good grew. Her impression of him, which had just begun to improve, plummeted again. Doing something so filthy in the hospital was simply unforgivable. It's totally unexpected. Song Lingshan, the notoriously cold beauty, would actually do something so flattering. She's truly capable of changing any woman at the slightest sign of love. Chen Yushu was deeply upset. If it had been anyone else, she wouldn't have been so angry, but it had to be Song Lingshan. Chen Yushu and Song Lingshan grew up in the same compound. Since they were both very beautiful, they were the center of attention in the compound. However, Song Lingshan was older and developed earlier than Chen Yushu, which earned her more attention from the boys. Compared to her, Chen Yushu was more like a younger sister, and the boys in the compound treated her like a younger sister, rather than with the same admiration they showed Song Lingshan. Although Chen Yushu didn't appreciate their admiration, it still irked her. This was one reason. The second reason, and the reason Chen Yushu hated Song Lingshan the most, was that her brother was also one of Song Lingshan's admirers. Chen Yushu would never forget the loss her brother felt after being rejected by Song Lingshan. Song Lingshan had even boasted that she wouldn't marry a man weaker than herself, which was what prompted Chen Yushu's brother, Chen Yushan, to join the army. Xiaoshu, you're so angry. Are you in love with that kid Lin Yi? Chu Mengyao finally caught on and asked Chen Yushu in confusion. Me? No way. How could I possibly like him? Chen Yushu even found herself amused. This was simply ridiculous. Since you don't like him, then stop mentioning him so much. It annoys me whenever I mention him. Chu Mengyao didn't know what she was upset about. Was it because she'd swallowed Lin Yi's saliva? Had she seen Lin Yi's penis? Had he touched her hand? It all seemed so distant, no longer relevant. That moment in the bank today, when those big hands had pinned her down, was nothing compared to all that. But Chu Mengyao felt a knot in her stomach, a deep, uncomfortable feeling. In the ward, Song Lingshan blushed. This was the end, especially since that little girl, Chen Yushu, had seen her. She wouldn't be able to return to the compound anymore. She simply couldn't face going back. After hearing what that girl said about herself, she must have been even more disgusting, perhaps no different from a slut. Looking at the culprit with an innocent expression on the bed, Song Lingshan really wanted to shoot him in the head. It's all this guy's fault. What the hell is he yelling about? Thinking of this, Song Lingshan couldn't help but say hatefully, Lin Yi, what on earth do you want to do? How can I face people in the future after your yell like that, miss? People say that big breasts mean no brains. I didn't believe it at first, but today, I finally saw what big breasts mean no brains, Lin Yi said with a sneer. What do you mean? What did you say? Song Lingshan was caught by Lin Yi's weakness and immediately became furious. She stood up and pointed at Lin Yi with her chest heaving in anger. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, So Strong. Don't think I'll give in just because you have a good figure and are dangling in front of me. I'd rather go home and watch a movie. Lin Yi curled his lips. First, you were the one pressing on my wound. If you hadn't, would I have cried out? Don't be the thief crying stop thief. Second, use your brain. Why can't you see people just because you're a woman? Everyone is equal before the law, but you're not equal just because you're a woman? If you can't see people, how can I see people? Song Lingshan was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Yi to have so many excuses. She wanted to say, can girls and boys be the same? But Lin Yi's words everyone is equal immediately shut her mouth. After all, she was a legal worker. If she said there was inequality, wouldn't she be shooting herself in the foot? Song Lingshan was so angry that she pointed at Lin Yi for a long time, and finally let her hand down in despair. What happened to her today? Song Lingshan took a deep breath. Was this still her usual self? Song Lingshan was usually calm and rarely got angry about anything, but today, she kept losing her composure in front of Lin Yi. It was all Lin Yi's fault, that nasty brat, always exposing my flaws. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so angry. Thinking of this, Song Lingshan's mind cleared up a bit. Indeed, Lin Yi was right. If she hadn't meant to be mean by touching his wound, He wouldn't have cried out. If he hadn't cried, and if she hadn't touched his wound, naturally, no one would have misunderstood him. Everything that had happened today was all her own fault. Lin Yi couldn't be blamed at all. Although deeply upset, Song Lingshan lowered her proud head. I lost my composure. Can we take your statement now? Okay. Lin Yi was surprised by this sudden change in Song Lingshan's demeanor. What's your name? Song Lingshan returned to her usual stoic demeanor, as if the angry girl from before wasn't her. Lin Yi said cooperatively. He didn't want to embarrass Song Lingshan. His words were just revenge for her injuring his wound. A girl suffering such a misunderstanding would feel far more wrong than a boy. It was like he'd been misunderstood by Chen Yushu this morning, but it hadn't affected Lin Yi's normal life in the slightest, and that girl didn't look down on him at all. Age? Song Lingshan continued to ask. 18, just the right age for an adult, Lin Yi said with a smile. Song Lingshan's face flushed instantly. She felt that Lin Yi's words and smile implied something, as if he was referring to the fact that she had just helped him, and that he was an adult, and that she hadn't been molesting a minor. No, I'm going crazy. Song Lingshan felt her head was spinning. She couldn't concentrate on her work at this rate. It seemed she still hadn't adjusted her mindset. When Brother Yang Huaijin returned, Song Lingshan planned to consult with him again. She had never seen Yang Huaijin show such emotion before. Captain Yang seemed to be always calm and composed, which impressed Song Lingshan immensely. Tell me about the situation at the bank, Song Lingshan sighed and said to Lin Yi. After taking Lin Yi's statement, Song Lingshan quickly left the hospital amidst the flickering, suspicious, and disdainful gazes of Uncle Fu, Chu Mengyao, and Chen Yushu. Song Lingshan felt as if her face was a huge fireball, hot and red. Mr. Lin, are you okay? Uncle Fu was slightly surprised to see Lin Yi able to get out of bed so soon. He thought the gunshot wound would take at least a few days to heal. It's okay, Lin Yi shook his head. Great. Twice a day, Chen Yushu whispered with a sly smile as she passed by Lin Yi. Huh? Lin Yi was stunned for a moment, then realized what Chen Yushu was referring to. He was suddenly at a loss for words. Twice a day? These 2 times were all misunderstandings. Chu Mengyao didn't say anything. She gave Lin Yi a cold look, then without saying anything, she took Chen Yushu's hand and left the ward. Yao is just like that, Mr. Lin, don't be offended. After Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu left, Uncle Fu patted Lin Yi on the shoulder and said, today's events are all thanks to you. When Mr. Chu comes back, I will definitely recommend you for the credit. No need, Lin Yi smiled. Mr. Chu gave me so much money, so naturally I have to be worthy of it. Haha, Uncle Fu laughed happily. Anyway, today's events are all thanks to you, Uncle Fu. This matter is not that simple. According to the bald guy, it was a man named Brother Chu who asked them to do this. Their action this time should be supplemented by a bank robbery, and kidnapping Chu Mengyao is the real thing, Lin Yi said. Although I don't know what the person behind the scenes wants to do, I think we still have to investigate. The power of the police alone is not enough. Well, I understand. I will tell Mr. Chu about this matter, Uncle Fu nodded. He was also suspicious. Chu Mengyao was kidnapped during the time when Mr. Chu was away. Is there any connection between the two? Lin Yi didn't say much. After all, this was someone else's family matter, so he could only address it briefly. In the hospital parking lot, Lin Yi saw Song Lingshan driving the police car. Lin Yi smiled at her, but Song Lingshan glared at him and, instead of stopping, stepped on the accelerator. Lin Yi and Uncle Fu got on the car. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu were already in the back seat, chatting. But after Uncle Fu and Lin Yi got in, they fell silent, and the atmosphere in the car became somewhat subdued. Earlier in the car, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu had been discussing Lin Yi's situation. Chu Mengyao was adamant about kicking Lin Yi out, but Chen Yushu thought it was fine for him to stay, at least he'd have breakfast every day. This infuriated Chu Mengyao. Why was he just focused on eating? The family's hotel had plenty of chefs, so why was a half-baked, country bumpkin like Lin Yi missing? So, the two of them fell silent, and after Lin Yi got in, the silence deepened. Uncle Fu once again parked the car in front of Chu Mengyao's villa. It seemed Chen Yushu was going to live with Chu Mengyao forever, so Uncle Fu simply didn't park outside. After the 3 of them got out of the car, Uncle Fu drove away. He still had to go to the hotel to prepare dinner for the 3 children. Of course, in his eyes, Lin Yi was also a child. Stop, Chu Mengyao called out to Lin Yi just as he was about to step into the villa. What's going on? Lin Yi turned around. Although he could see Song Lingshan, he still maintained a certain respect for Chu Mengyao. After all, she was his employer, and his responsibility was to accompany her in her studies, life, and make her happy. Therefore, Lin Yi's attitude towards her was always good. Chapter 43 I don't like him. You saved me today. I'm very grateful. I'll ask Daddy to give you some extra money as a reward, but that doesn't mean I accept you. When Daddy gets back, I'll tell him to fire you. Chu Mengyao pursed her lips and hesitated for a moment before speaking. Lin Yi shrugged, a somewhat helpless smile on his face. Don't worry, if Mr. Chu fires me, I won't stay here. Lin Yi felt like a complete failure. Was this young lady too hard to please, or was he just not doing his job well? But it didn't matter. Although he somewhat missed his comfortable life, going to school every day, living with two beautiful young women, and having a good friend at school, this kind of life wasn't for him. Looking at Lin Yi's dejected figure, Chu Mengyao felt even more suffocated. Was she wrong? Shouldn't she have kicked him out? For the first time, Chu Mengyao's heart began to waver, her balance against Lin Yi swaying. Lin Yi returned to his room and took off his clothes. There were large bloodstains on his pants, and it looked like he couldn't wear them anymore. What a waste of such a good pair. Feeling a little distressed, Lin Yi tossed them into the trash can in the corner of the room and took out a spare set of school uniforms. After changing, Lin Yi left the room. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu were watching TV on the sofa. Lin Yi didn't disturb them, but quietly sat on the sofa farthest from them and watched cartoons with them. Chen Yashu glanced at Lin Yi and continued watching the cartoon, while Chu Mengyao didn't even look in Lin Yi's direction. Because of the bank robbery today, they got home after 9 o'clock. Although Uncle Fu rushed to the hotel to pick up the food, it was not until 10:30 that it was delivered to the villa. Uncle Fu, as usual, left the food and left. The only difference was that before leaving today, he specifically reminded Lin Yi, "Don't forget to check that the door is locked at night to protect the two girls." "Don't worry, Uncle Fu." Lin Yi gave Uncle Fu a reassuring look. Lin Yi's evening practice could replace sleep, but that was also when his mind and senses were at their sharpest. The slightest movement wouldn't escape his notice. Therefore, Lin Yi remained confident in the villa's safety at night. "Oh," Chen Yashu cheered at the aroma of food. "I'm starving. Finally, there's food. Sister Yao, let's go eat." Chu Mengyao stood up and walked with Chen Yashu to the dining room adjacent to the kitchen. She was also somewhat hungry, but she felt an inexplicable sense of depression, so she wasn't as active as Chen Yashu. Sitting at the table, Chen Yashu eagerly opened the sealed container, her mouth watering. "Sister Yao, it's braised chicken nuggets, fried tofu, hot and sour potato shreds, and pig's trotter soup. This pig's trotter soup must be a breast enhancement product made just for you." Chu Mengyao glared at Chen Yashu, signaling her to stop talking. There was a grown man in the room, and this wasn't the two-person world they used to be. "Oh," Chen Yashu closed her mouth. "It smells so good. I love fried tofu the most. I heard that eating too much tofu makes your skin whiter, just like the tofu zishi in the textbook." Chu Mengyao picked up her chopsticks, then put them down again. Out of the corner of her eye, she glanced at Lin Yi on the sofa, still watching TV. Somehow, his solitary figure made Chu Mengyao feel particularly uncomfortable. Yesterday, he had been eager to eat with her, but today, he hadn't come. It must be because of that incident where she had swallowed his saliva yesterday. "Ask your Wrigley brother to come over for dinner," Chu Mengyao said to Chen Yashu after a moment's hesitation. "That's your Wrigley brother, okay? I don't need Wrigley." Chen Yashu pursed her lips, half smiley, and looked at her, trying to figure out what was going on. "Why did you ask him to come over for dinner, then leave him alone?" Under Chen Yashu's questioning, Chu Mengyao felt an inexplicable surge of nervousness and said coldly, "Oh, then I'll go call him." Chen Yashu smiled, stood up, and shouted to Lin Yi in the living room, "Brother Arrow, come and eat. You guys eat first, I'll eat after you finish." "Mengyao doesn't like mine." Lin Yi looked at Chen Yashu with some gratitude. This girl really treats him well, and it's worth it that he made noodles for her in the morning. After hearing what Lin Yi said, Chu Mengyao's hand that was picking up the food suddenly trembled, and a piece of braised chicken fell on the table. Chu Mengyao wanted to cry. It was obviously she who asked Lin Yi to come for dinner, but this guy thought Chen Yashu was a kind person. Moreover, he said that he didn't like him. His kindness was really taken for granted. Sister Yao said. Chen Yushu was about to say something else, but was pulled back by Chu Mengyao. Don't worry about him, let him starve to death, Chu Mengyao said hatefully. She really hated him. Huh? But Sister Yao, didn't you say you wanted him to come and eat? Why are you ignoring him now? Chen Yushu looked at Chu Mengyao, whose expression was gloomy, with some surprise. I've changed my mind again, Chu Mengyao snorted, hesitated, and then said, Zia Oshu, if you like him, then call him over, me? But he said you don't like him, Chen Yushu said innocently. Me, Chu Mengyao wanted to say, I didn't say I don't like him, did I? But if she said that, wouldn't it become like she liked him? The corners of Chu Mengyao's mouth moved, but she didn't say anything in the end, just said, let's eat. Some time later, if time could be turned back, Chu Mengyao thought, after Lin Yi finished saying that, she would definitely stand up and shout to him without hesitation, I like you, come and eat with me. But time cannot be turned back, it is destined that all this has happened, and it is also destined that in many moonlit nights in the future, Chu Mengyao will hug the corner of the quilt soaked with tears and spend the sleepless night. At the moment when the meteor crossed the night sky, Chu Mengyao made her wish, but does making a wish really work? Looking at the bright starry sky, Chu Mengyao found that since some time, the distance between her and him has been getting farther and farther. Although it seems within reach, there is an insurmountable ravine between the two, and this ravine was dug by her own hands. However, at this moment, Chu Mengyao obviously has not realized this. Chapter 44 Tell you a secret. After the two girls finished their meal, they went upstairs. It was already late, around 11 o'clock. They had school the next day, so it was probably time for an early rest. Lin Yi stood up and walked over to the dining table, a charming smile playing across his lips. Although he hadn't heard what Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu had said earlier, he had seen everything that happened after Chen Yushu had called him to dinner and sat back down at the table. The two girls spoke quietly, but they had never imagined that Lin Yi could read lips, so he took in every word Chu Mengyao said. It turned out that the eldest daughter had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Lin Yi smiled slightly and began to clean up the two girls' leftovers. Actually, they weren't exactly leftovers. The two girls weren't big eaters, and even if they were hungry, they couldn't finish the 4 large boxes of food. They only took a few bites of the braised chicken, obviously because they were afraid of getting fat. In fact, in the eyes of many boys in number 1 middle school, being able to eat the leftovers of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu was a great blessing. For example, Zhong Pinliang would never get tired of eating them every day. Lin Yi was really hungry. After finishing all the food on the table in no time, he burped with satisfaction. There were footsteps behind him. Lin Yi didn't turn around. From the footsteps, he could tell that the person coming was Chen Yushu. The footsteps of the two were slightly different, but Lin Yi could still distinguish them accurately. Wow! Brother Wrigley, are you a pig? You can eat so much? The person who came was indeed Chen Yushu. She was a little thirsty, so she came down to get a bottle of drink, but she was shocked to see the empty lunchboxes on the table. Lin Yi smiled. It's not so bad, but you two are pretty wasteful, leaving so much left over every day. Now we have you, don't we? Chen Yushu said disapprovingly. It was clear that in such a large family environment, it was difficult for them to understand the feeling of who knows every grain of rice on the plate is hard-earned. Lin Yi didn't say anything more. He understood the differences between their backgrounds, so there was no point in talking about these things. Chen Yushu and Chu Mengyao wouldn't understand. By the way, Wrigley, I have a little secret for you. Chen Yushu pulled a bottle of black tea from the refrigerator and said mysteriously to Lin Yi. What secret? Lin Yi was stunned for a moment, looking at Chen Yushu in confusion. Sister Yao said, she didn't say she doesn't like you. You can eat with us next time, Chen Yushu whispered. I see, Lin Yi nodded. Thank you. But next time, I'll wait until you're done eating. Why? Chen Yushu was puzzled. I'm afraid they've all eaten, so there won't be enough for you. Lin Yi smiled, pointing to the empty lunchboxes on the table. Ha! Chen Yushu burst into laughter. I'm going upstairs. You should get some rest early too. With a goodbye gesture, she ran upstairs. Lin Yi watched Chen Yushu disappear into the stairwell and shook his head. This girl made him feel unpredictable. She looked cute, but she was actually very shrewd. Because of his leg injury, Lin Yi didn't shower. Instead, he wiped himself with a wet towel and went to bed. He didn't expect to get injured here again. He hadn't brought any herbs from his hometown, so he had no way to quickly heal his leg injury. Closing his eyes, Lin Yi began to practice the Xuanyuan Yulong Jue. Although Lin Yi hoped for a breakthrough every day, he still hadn't made any progress. Warm sunlight streamed into the room, illuminating Lin Yi. He stretched and opened the window to take in the fresh air. It was another beautiful day, and Lin Yi was eagerly anticipating life. This kind of student's life was something he'd always dreamed of, and now that it was finally happening, he would cherish it. Who knows, maybe one day the young lady would send him back. In the interrogation room of the Criminal Investigation Division at the Songshan City Police Station, Song Lingshan looked helplessly at the motley crowd before her, feeling a genuine sense of powerlessness. An entire night had passed, and there had been no progress in the case. All the interrogations yielded were useless. The drivers of the black Hyundai commercial vehicles with the fake license plates Song A74110 had been apprehended, but they were all clueless. At first, Song Lingshan was skeptical, but later, after investigating their backgrounds, she was deeply disappointed. They were either laid-off drivers or bus drivers on vacation. The drivers of the Song A74110 license plates were hired by someone else. Each paid 500 yuan to drive to a designated location at a specified time. Before these people could even reach the designated location, they were apprehended by the police. Initially, they even thought they were being apprehended by traffic police, as their cars lacked legal documentation. They had accepted the assignment for the high price of 500 yuan. When they learned it was related to a bank robbery, they realized they had been duped and tricked by the criminals. They were sent to the traffic police for standard traffic violations, and Song Lingshan couldn't take her anger out on them. The exhaustion of the night was wasted, and Song Lingshan felt deeply depressed. After all, this was her first time independently solving a case, and the pressure was immense. "Captain Song, should we intensify the search?" asked Liu Wengli, the captain of a subordinate squadron. They had already searched all night, but had found no trace of the robbers. Continuing the search after dawn would undoubtedly disrupt normal social activities, so Song Lingshan was hesitant. Intensifying the search would be like setting up checkpoints at key routes, checking passing vehicles and their occupants. "Let me ask Captain Yang for instructions." Song Lingshan finally dialed Yang Huaijian's number out of helplessness and asked him what to do in this situation. Sometimes, Song Lingshan felt that she was really bad. Captain Yang Huaijian, who was also a retired soldier, had an insight 100 times sharper than hers. No matter what case it was, it could not escape his meticulous analysis and reasoning, and soon the truth of the case would come to light. But Song Lingshan felt that she had so much to learn. This position of deputy captain, well, Lin Yi was right, it really seemed like he got it through the back door. Although Song Lingshan knew that according to her military rank before she retired, she deserved this position, but her ability was far inferior. Chapter 45: The Abandoned Robber. Meanwhile, outside an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Songshan City, a black Hyundai commercial van sat parked, its license plate removed. Holy crap! Are these police officers crazy? They only stole over $1 million? Is this all they were cracking up about? Baldy spat a mouthful of phlegm on the ground in frustration. "Yeah, boss, this isn't going to work. We're stuck here, aren't we?" Molly Wu was also annoyed. "Fuck, this is unfortunate. Okay, stop complaining. I'm waiting for Brother Chihu's call." Baldy waved his hand impatiently. The phone rang, and Baldy quickly picked it up, saying somewhat flatteringly, "Brother Chihu? It's Baldy, what the hell?" A cold voice came from the other end. "Brother Chihu, what's wrong with me?" Baldy was stunned. "Did you take the money out of the bank?" Brother Chihu asked sinisterly. "I just took it out casually. What's the big deal?" The bald man felt a little aggrieved. He had finally robbed the bank, and if he didn't take the money after the robbery, wouldn't it be a waste? Idiot. What did I tell you in the first place? I told you not to take the money. Are you deaf? Brother Chihu cursed. If you didn't take the money, the police wouldn't have put so much effort into searching for you. They worked so hard because you took the money. The bald man thought about it and realized that this was indeed the case. It was all his fault for being obsessed with money. As a result, he caused the disaster. Thinking of this, he begged, "Brother Chihu, I worked hard for you. You can't just ignore me. You have to save me." "Huh? Is that girl okay?" Brother Chihu asked with a cold snort. "Girl? What girl?" The bald man was stunned. Chu Mengyao. You didn't touch her, did you? Damn it, Brother Chihu's voice was a little hurried. If you do, it's over, oh, Baldy said, remembering Chu Mengyao, and stuttered. I'm sorry, Brother Chihu. She was rescued. What? Brother Chihu cried out. Damn it, you didn't catch her. No, Baldy said tremblingly. Then you can fucking die. It was a mistake to ask you for help, Brother Chihu cursed. You're a complete bastard. You deserve to be arrested by the police. With that, Brother Chihu hung up the phone. Brother Chihu, Baldy heard Brother Chihu's words, and suddenly became anxious. He begged, Brother Chihu, you can't just ignore me. I'm yours. But after a long time of pleading, Baldy was shocked to find that Brother Chihu had already hung up. Boss, what did Brother Chihu say? Maliu waited for Baldy to hang up the phone before anxiously asking. Brother Chihu abandoned us. We're screwed, the Baldy said dejectedly. Finished, Maliu was stunned. What do you mean? Brother Chihu doesn't care about us anymore. He doesn't care about us because we didn't catch the chick Chu Mengyao? Baldy sat on the ground and sighed. Damn it, you damned Baldy. It's all your fault. If you hadn't been kidnapped by that brat, would that chick have gotten away? Maliu suddenly became furious, leaping from the ground and lunging at Baldy. You dare to rebel? Baldy was stunned, watching in disbelief as Maliu punched him. Even at this hour, you're still pretending, Maliu sneered. Fuck you. If that kid hadn't taken your gun, would we be in this situation? Baldy said, and then he and Maliu began to wrestle. Bang, bang, 2 gunshots rang out, and Baldy and Maliu collapsed in a pool of blood, their eyes agape. The shooter was one of Baldy's men, the one who had been shouting at the bank. This man, Ji Lao San, was the most prestigious member of the gang besides Baldy, the deputy leader. Third brother, you? The remaining 2 men stared at Ji Lao San in surprise. These 2 are so nagging and complaining, Ji Lao San snorted. What time is it now? Still fighting among themselves? If Brother Chihu doesn't want us, then so be it. But we have arms and legs, and most importantly, money. If we can survive this, we brothers will enjoy endless prosperity and wealth. Don't you agree? The 2 men reflected on this, and they also thought that this was the case. Baldy and Maliu were arguing endlessly, and in this situation, internal strife was the most terrifying. If they weren't careful, they could become clues to the police and fall into their hands. Only by working together could they overcome this difficult situation. Thinking of this, the 2 men nodded in agreement. After all, Baldy was dead, and Ji Lao San was now the leader. If they wanted to stay safe, they could only rely on him. This money is enough for the 3 of us to spend for a lifetime. Ji Lao San opened his purse, revealing bundles of banknotes. He knew that nothing he said would work at this point, only money could win hearts and minds. From here, each of us will get a share of nearly $500,000. Without 2 of us, there's 1 less person to share the money with. We'll listen to you, third brother, everything is up to you 3, both men agreed. Ji Lao San nodded in satisfaction, glancing disdainfully at the bodies of Baldy and Maliu on the ground. Because they slept late last night, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu almost overslept this morning. The alarm clock rang 3 times before they groggily emerged from their covers and ran to the bathroom to wash up. Lin Yi woke up early and made 3 bowls of noodles. Hearing noises upstairs, he began to boil water and prepare the noodles. Yesterday he had made plain noodles, but today he was making chicken broth noodles. He had some leftover braised chicken from yesterday, so he used the leftover broth to make the soup. By the time Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu came downstairs, Lin Yi's noodles were ready. Wow, smells so good. Chen Yashu, with her sharp nose, immediately caught the scent of the chicken broth noodles and ran to the restaurant eagerly. Sister Yao, your wriggly brother is making us noodles again. Chu Mengyao had wanted to follow Chen Yashu to the restaurant, but halfway through, she heard her and stopped in her tracks. Lin Yi had cooked the noodles, so should she go and eat them? If it were for the sake of her own petty pride and face, Chu Mengyao should have turned around and walked away, pretending she hadn't smelled anything. But the aroma of the noodles was simply too tempting. Huff, huff, listening to the sound of Chen Yashu eating noodles in the restaurant, Chu Mengyao was furious. This little girl usually made no noise when eating? Was she doing it on purpose today? Wasn't she trying to seduce me? Chapter 46, Familiar with the Dean of Academic Affairs. Wow, it smells so good. So delicious, Chen Yashu commented as she ate. What's the big deal? I had a bowl yesterday anyway, so today's one won't make a difference. Chu Mengyao gritted her teeth and headed towards the dining room. Lin Yi observed Chu Mengyao's behavior completely and smiled slightly. This Chu Mengyao was quite interesting. Mengyao, come and eat noodles. Lin Yi encouraged Chu Mengyao to get more motivated. Thank you. Chu Mengyao's mosquito-like voice surprised Lin Yi and Chen Yushu. Was this still Chu Mengyao? Sitting at the table, picking up her chopsticks, looking at the bowl of fragrant noodles in front of her, Chu Mengyao felt like crying. Had she been too harsh on Lin Yi? In fact, he was still a good man, at least a qualified nanny. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Uncle Fu's car pulled up at the door of the villa on time. Chu Mengyao, Chen Yushu, and Lin Yi left the villa. Chu Mengyao still didn't say much, but the hostility in her eyes when she looked at Lin Yi was less. Mr. Lin, according to the doctor's orders yesterday, you need to go to the hospital first to get your dressing changed, Uncle Fu said. I'll take Miss Chu and Miss Chen to school first, then I'll take you to the hospital to get your dressing changed, and then we'll go to school. Okay, Lin Yi thought about it and nodded. The wound on his leg wasn't serious, but he didn't want others to think he was a monster. Miss Chu, could you ask for leave for Mr. Lin? Uncle Fu asked in a negotiating tone. Chu Mengyao was suddenly embarrassed. Honestly, she didn't dislike Lin Yi that much anymore, but how could she ask for leave for him? Would everyone know she was living with Lin Yi then? Uncle Fu assumed there was still some conflict between Chu Mengyao and Lin Yi, so he said to Chen Yushu, Miss Chen, why don't you ask for leave for Mr. Lin? It's nothing. It's just that Sister Yao doesn't want anyone to know she's living with Lin Yi. Chen Yushu's expression was innocent, but the word living together emphasized her tone. Uncle Fu slapped his forehead, realizing Chu Mengyao had such concerns. That was right. How could a girl have the nerve to say that? Chu Mengyao glared at Chen Yushu. Even though she had thought about it, it was still embarrassing to have it said out loud. Chen Yushu stuck out her tongue and closed her mouth. She had already said what she needed to say. It's okay. I'm very familiar with the school's Dean of Academic Affairs, Wang Xixing. I have his number. I'll call him later and ask him to tell my homeroom teacher, Lin Yi said with a smile. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu were puzzled. How could Lin Yi, who had only been at school for one day, already be so familiar with the Dean of Academic Affairs? It seemed unlikely, didn't it? But if he didn't know the Dean of Academic Affairs, he couldn't make such a boast. Wouldn't his lie be exposed soon? Not only Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu, but even Uncle Fu was amazed at how Lin Yi knew the Dean of Academic Affairs. Lin Yi also noticed the two people's confusion, so he said to Uncle Fu, can you lend me your phone for a moment? Oh, of course, Uncle Fu said, and handed his phone to Lin Yi. Lin Yi took out a piece of paper from his trouser pocket. There was still some blood on it, which he accidentally stained yesterday. Then he dialed the number on the paper, and after a while, the call was connected. Hello, is this Director Wang? Lin Yi asked. It's me. Who are you? Wang Xixing was currently working on his lover. When the phone rang, he was startled. He picked it up and saw that it was an unfamiliar number, so his tone was a little unfriendly. This is Lin Yi, Director Wang. I hope I didn't disturb you, Lin Yi said with a smile. No, Director Wang was startled, and his tone became very kind. It's Lin Yi. Look, what good can I do? Class is about to start, haha, it's like this. I have something to ask Director Wang. Lin Yi smiled, not calling Director Wang's lie out. Director Wang's tone had been clearly nervous before, and it looked like he was up to something. What is it? Tell me, Wang Xixing sighed inwardly. Oh, it seems someone has finally caught him, and the next day he's in trouble. Well, I have something to do this morning and may be late to school. Could you please talk to my homeroom teacher and ask for leave? I'll be here around 10 o'clock, Lin Yi said. That's it? Okay, no problem. Wang Xixing breathed a sigh of relief when he heard it was such a small matter. It shouldn't be easy to handle. It's just a phone call. Thank you, Director Wang. I won't bother you anymore. Please continue, Lin Yi said meaningfully. This kid. Wang Xixing, feeling somewhat helpless, put down the phone and continued to work. Lin Yi, do you really know Director Wang? And you look very familiar with him? Chen Yushu's mouth dropped open, staring at Lin Yi in disbelief. We just met yesterday, we just hit it off. Naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't tell anyone about Wang Xixing, so he gave a vague explanation. Oh, Chen Yushu cheered. That's great. If I need leave next time, I'll call you. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and glanced at Uncle Fu. Seeing his expressionless face, he figured he had run out of ideas for these two young ladies and had turned a deaf ear to their plans to skip classes. So, Lin Yi could only say, okay. In his heart, Uncle Fu was once again reassessing Lin Yi. This young man looked ordinary, but his wit and courage were undeniable. And now it seemed he had excellent social skills. He even had a knack for picking up girls, even the policewoman Song Lingshan. Thinking of this, Uncle Fu felt a headache. Could these two little princesses also fall into his clutches? It seemed like I should find time to have a proper talk with Mr. Chu about Lin Yi. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu got out of the car at the gate of number 1 middle school, and Uncle Fu drove Lin Yi to Songshan City First People's Hospital. On the way, they passed a mobile phone store. Uncle Fu parked the car outside and said to Lin Yi, Mr. Lin, you should get a mobile phone, otherwise it's inconvenient to contact me. Lin Yi nodded. That was right, otherwise he wouldn't be able to borrow Uncle Fu's phone all the time. After locking the car, Uncle Fu accompanied Lin Yi into the store. Inside, there was a QQ bookstore novel reading promotion. An online writer named Yu Ren Erdai was promoting his latest work. The CEO and the school beauty are dependent on me. Lin Yi sometimes read online novels, but seeing how crowded the event was, he decided not to join in the fun. It seemed that this guy named Yu Ren Erdai had quite a few fans. Lin Yi decided to look up the book after buying a phone. The extra chapter of the school beauty is being serialized. Please add Yu Ren's QQ public account Yu Ren Erdai and watch it public account Yuren22. Various activities are held regularly. And signed book activities are constantly given away. Chapter 47 Little Nurse Guanzin. Lin Yi's main reason for coming this time was to buy a cell phone, so he went straight to the cell phone counter. Seeing that Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu were both using Apple phones, Lin Yi was somewhat attracted to them, so he simply chose the latest model, paid a few thousand yuan for their phone bill, and received a cell phone as a gift. As Lin Yi was about to pay, Uncle Fu preemptively swiped his card to pay, smiling and saying to Lin Yi, these are all daily necessities, and we should provide them. Hearing Uncle Fu's words, Lin Yi stopped arguing. After all, a few thousand yuan was a large sum for him, but for Uncle Fu and Chu Pengzhan, it was nothing. Although Uncle Fu was just a driver, he held shares in Pengzhan Group. Although the amount was small, it was enough to demonstrate Uncle Fu's status in Chu Pengzhan's heart. After buying the phone, traffic on the street picked up. It was rush hour, and Uncle Fu gave a wry smile. Looks like I'm going to be delayed for quite a while. But Mr. Lin, how come you're so familiar with Director Wang at the school? I chatted with him yesterday when I reported for duty. We hit it off, so he gave me his phone number and told me to call him if I needed anything, Lin Yi said with a smile. That's right, Uncle Fu didn't quite believe it, but since Lin Yi hadn't said anything, he couldn't press him. Finally, they arrived at the First People's Hospital. It was already 8:30 in the morning, and it took about an hour to walk there. They found Dr. Sun Weiman, the doctor from yesterday. Sun Weiman was delighted to see Lin Yi. He beamed at him, little hero, you're here. Look how quickly you've recovered. You can even walk now. Anyone else would probably still be on crutches. Dr. Sun, please stop calling me little hero. It's a little awkward. Besides, I'm not a hero. Lin Yi felt a little embarrassed by Sun Weiman's stare. He couldn't help but feel that there was something off about his smile. You deserve to be called a hero. You deserve it. Sun Weiman waved his hand, his expression akin to an elder, and smiled, but you're a bit too romantic, young man. What happened with that female police officer yesterday has become a legend in the hospital. Even the female policewoman is fascinated by you, little hero, huh? Lin Yi broke out in a sweat. Really? They say news spreads fast on campus. Could it be that news spreads fast in the hospital, too? Haha, okay, I won't tease you anymore. Sun Weiman smiled and wrote a medical order, then handed it to Lin Yi, saying, take this and go to the surgical treatment room. Okay. Lin Yi hurriedly took the medical order and fled out of Sun Weiman's clinic, with cold sweat on his back. If Song Lingshan heard about what happened today, it would be a big deal. He had fooled her with all his words last night, and if she came to her senses, she would come to settle the score with him, right? Just thinking about it gave Lin Yi a headache. The surgical treatment room was just in front of the surgical clinic. Lin Yi knocked on the door, and a very gentle voice came from inside. "Come in." The nurse MM's voice is so nice. Lin Yi casually pushed the door open and walked in. "Hello, I'm here to change the dressing." The nurse in the treatment room looked up in surprise at Lin Yi. "Are you okay?" "What do you mean I'm okay? I haven't changed the dressing yet." Lin Yi was immediately baffled. The nurse looked pretty, with a round face and big eyes. Could she be a psychopath? "You don't recognize me," Guanzin pouted in a wry tone, looking at Lin Yi pitifully. Yesterday was Guanzin's first month's salary. She was so happy. She was finally independent, no longer being called a money-worshipping little girl by her elders. In reality, Guanzin wasn't short of money. On the contrary, her family was wealthy. But Guanzin didn't want that. She wanted to earn her own money through her own hard work. After graduating from medical school, Guanzin worked as a nurse at Songshan City First People's Hospital. In this age of fierce job competition, being a nurse isn't easy. Many beautiful women have only landed the jobs they wanted after yielding to unspoken rules. But Guanzin's family background was there, and she was secretly having an affair with the daughter of a hospital shareholder. Would that mean she wanted to die? Who would dare? With the appointment of the hospital director, Guanzin went to the surgical treatment room. The director also let Guanzin stay there because he considered the director Sun Weibin of the surgical department was a very upright person. Otherwise, if there was a scandal about a doctor molesting the daughter of a hospital shareholder, he would just resign as the director. After get off work, Guanzin happily ran to the bank to withdraw her salary and enjoy the joy of making money. Due to the special nature of the nursing profession, almost all banks were closed after get off work. Guanzin had to walk a long way to the only 24-hour bank nearby. Unexpectedly, she encountered a bank robbery. When the robbers rushed into the bank, raised their guns and fired, and told everyone not to move, Guanzin was stunned. Her mind was blank. She just followed what others did and squatted on the ground with the crowd. Originally, she thought that after this period of time, she could just wait for the robbers to take the money and leave, but she didn't expect that the police would surround the bank. The robbers had to find a hostage as a bargaining chip to negotiate with the police. When the robbers walked towards her, Guanzin was very scared. She was afraid that the robbers would choose her. Unexpectedly, the robbers chose a girl not far from her who looked about the same age as her. What made Guanzin feel incredible was that at this time, the young man in front of her suddenly stood up and took the initiative to ask to be the robber's hostage. You know, at this time, many people would not be able to hide, so why would they take the initiative to ask to be the robber's hostage? Guanzin admired the bravery of the boy in front of her very much. However, the gangster raised his gun and shot at him without mercy. Guanzin's heart almost jumped out of her chest at that time. However, what puzzled Guanzin was that the boy turned sideways and then straightened his body. In this situation, why did the boy do this? Before Guanzin could think about it, the gunshots rang out and the boy was shot. However, he did not even make a sound and silently endured the bullet hitting his leg. At that time, Guanzin had an urge to stand up. She wanted to tell the boy that she was a nurse and could bandage him. But Guanzin's legs did not obey her. It was not until the boy and the girl were taken away as hostages that Guanzin came to her senses. Chapter 48 Dressing Change. When Guanzin arrived for work this morning, she overheard the entire surgical department, doctors and nurses, talking about a man named Lin Yi. Initially, she thought it was just gossip. But upon closer inspection, she was surprised to discover they were discussing yesterday's bank robbery. Guanzin's interest piqued. As someone involved, she naturally had the final say. When she mentioned the young man in front of her who had volunteered to be a hostage, everyone erupted in astonishment. It turned out it was all true. The young man from yesterday was truly a hero. Although Sun Weibin had previously mentioned this to everyone, because the police hadn't disclosed the details, many people assumed Lin Yi was just bragging. Now, with Guanzin's own eyes, Lin Yi truly was a hero. What? He came to our hospital yesterday to get treatment? That means he's out of the robbers' control. Guanzin was overjoyed to hear Sun Weibin's words, and the heavy weight in her heart lifted. Yesterday, he'd been worried about Lin Yi and the girl's safety, and hadn't slept well all night. Now, he could finally relax. That's right, Sun Weibin smiled. Lin Yi, you're quite something. But Xixing, you're truly lucky. Yesterday, Lin Yi said that when the assailant opened fire, he could have dodged, but he saw the girl behind him. If he had dodged, the bullet would have definitely hit her, so he snapped back and took the bullet. And that lucky girl, it seems, Is you? Ah. So that's how it is. Guanxin's mouth dropped open in surprise. No wonder he turned sideways and then straightened himself. He was afraid of hurting himself. Haha, Xixing, Lin Yi needs to come to the hospital to change the dressing soon. I'll have him come find you. Sun Weimin smiled. Sun Weimin didn't actually know Guanxin's true identity, but the dean had told him that Guanxin was being sent in by a prominent figure and that he should give her the necessary care. Sun Weimin was always very humble. He treated everyone in the department very well, even without the dean's greeting. He was especially kind to the younger people, offering advice whenever possible and never keeping anything to himself. Guanxin's face flushed instantly. This kind of hero saving the beauty plot was bound to make people think too much. Especially with such a dramatic twist. After Lin Yi was injured, he went to the hospital where she worked for treatment. Lin Yi looked at the lovely nurse in front of him and felt a sense of familiarity, but he couldn't figure out where he had seen her before. However, her question, "Don't you recognize me?" gave Lin Yi a chill. Why did he feel like a heartless man who had deceived a girl's feelings? You, who are you? Lin Yi looked at the girl in front of him suspiciously, trying to discern some clue from her bright eyes, but sadly, he still couldn't remember who she was. It was no wonder. She was just a passing visitor Lin Yi had met yesterday, and he didn't even know her name. It was impossible for Lin Yi to have any impression of her. Thank you for taking the bullet yesterday. Seeing that Lin Yi didn't recognize her, Guanxin couldn't help but feel slightly disappointed, so she took the initiative to tell him how they met. Ah, it's you. Lin Yi finally remembered the girl in front of him. She was the girl behind him in the bank yesterday. You remembered? Guanxin was slightly pleased to see that Lin Yi remembered her. Actually, the robber's gun was meant to shoot me yesterday. I can't let anyone else get hurt just because I dodged a bullet, so you don't have to thank me at all, Lin Yi explained. You don't have to feel any psychological burden. Oh, Guanxin said, unsure what to say. She nodded, and the atmosphere became a little awkward. Okay, change the dressing for me, Lin Yi smiled. Nice to meet you, beautiful nurse. My name is Guanxin. Guanxin was amused by Lin Yi. She took the medical instructions from Lin Yi and began to prepare the medicine. After Guanxin prepared the ointment, she saw Lin Yi still standing there, and she couldn't help but laugh. What are you still doing? Take it off quickly. After saying this, Guanxin's face turned red involuntarily. In fact, this was the first time Guanxin treated this kind of injury for a man. In the past, when there was such a situation, Sun Weimin would hand it over to the married female nurses in the department. These young nurses were assigned to deal with some skin injuries on the hands and feet. But today's situation was different. Lin Yi was considered Guanxin's benefactor, and Sun Weimin said that he would give Lin Yi to Guanxin for disposal, and Guanxin did not object, so this matter was settled. It's a bit not so good. Lin Yi felt a little embarrassed. Yesterday, there was a scandal with Songshan. If he applied an ointment today, wouldn't it be even more troublesome? Seeing Lin Yi, a grown man, start to flinch, Guanxin wasn't shy anymore, instead finding it amusing. I'm a nurse. What are you hiding from me? You know, patients have no privacy in front of doctors. Just be good. After saying this, Guanxin felt a little embarrassed. Why did she feel like a rather inappropriate young lady? Lin Yi broke out in a sweat, but then he came to terms with it. Guanxin was a nurse, so it shouldn't be a big deal. So, Lin Yi quickly revealed the wound on his leg and happily sat down on a nearby chair. That's my chair, but you can sit here. Guanxin felt a little embarrassed when she saw Lin Yi sitting on her usual office chair, but after thinking it over, she didn't think it was a big deal and let him do it. Lin Yi, however, was a little apologetic. I didn't realize it was your chair. How about I change it? Forget it. You have a wound on your leg. Don't keep changing it, Guanxin said as she squatted down and began to carefully examine the bandage on Lin Yi's leg. I didn't expect that. Although Lin Yi looks thin, his legs are so muscular. No wonder he could still follow the gangster after being shot. Guanxin was secretly surprised. Guanxin carefully unwrapped the previous bandage slowly, but the more careful she was, the more nervous she became. Especially when she smelled the male scent in front of her, Guanxin felt her breathing quicken. Her hand trembled slightly and touched Lin Yi. Guanxin was startled and her face was as red as the sunset in the afternoon. Guanxin was nervous, and Lin Yi was not much better. Fortunately, Lin Yi's concentration was better, otherwise it would be embarrassing. However, this concentration was broken by Guanxin's touch. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. Come see me tomorrow. Feeling the warmth of Guanxin's hand, Lin Yi's heart inevitably began to beat faster. Guanxin had accidentally touched Lin Yi, and she felt very shy, lowering her head somewhat involuntarily. She was afraid that Lin Yi would see her expression, so she lowered her head very low, and ended up bumping into Lin Yi's knee. Guanxin finally couldn't help but scream, and quickly stood up. However, at this moment, she was too embarrassed to raise her head. Lin Yi looked at Guanxin's expression and felt helpless. He thought, "Who told you to touch me?" But since it had already happened, he could only say awkwardly, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lift my leg." Hearing Lin Yi apologize to her first, Guanxin felt a little guilty. In fact, Guanxin also knew that Lin Yi had been quite honest, and only raised his leg reflexively after she accidentally touched him. In the end, she was the one who should be blamed. "It's not your fault. As a nurse, I shouldn't care about these things. My thoughts were a little impure," Guanxin quickly explained. If it were anyone else, Guanxin probably wouldn't have been so friendly and would have slapped him. But Lin Yi was different, he was her savior. Guanxin instinctively felt guilty about the bullet wound in his body, believing he was shot for her sake, hence his friendly expression. "It's okay now," Lin Yi pointed at his recovered body with a hint of self-mockery, then said awkwardly, "We can continue." "Yes," Guanxin nodded, putting aside her previous awkwardness and carefully helping Lin Yi change the dressing. Hiss, the gauze adhered to part of the wound, and the tearing sensation made Lin Yi grit his teeth. "The wound is healing really well. I can't believe it was just yesterday." Guanxin looked at the wound on Lin Yi's leg in surprise. "Yes, my skin is more compatible," Lin Yi explained. He certainly couldn't say it was because of his practice of the Xuanyuan Yulong Jue. After the dressing was changed, both of them looked a little embarrassed. Finally, Guanxin smiled generously. "Come back in 3 days to change the dressing. Just come see me." "Yes," Lin Yi nodded, escaping from the surgical procedure room. He ran downstairs, finally breathing a sigh of relief. What an embarrassing day. Uncle Fu had been waiting for Lin Yi in the car. Lin Yi hadn't let him in just now because he was no longer able to move, so Lin Yi didn't want to bother Uncle Fu. "Is the dressing changed?" Uncle Fu asked, opening the car door as he saw Lin Yi emerge from the hospital. "Yes, it's changed," Lin Yi nodded, "but I'll come back tomorrow to change the dressing and see how the wound is healing." Another day is fine. Guanxin was actually thinking that since she was off tomorrow, she wanted Lin Yi to come back the day after tomorrow. However, she was worried that Lin Yi's wound would relapse, so she asked him to see how it healed first. Lin Yi, thinking back to the awkward moment of the dressing change, didn't dare come again. This feeling of being able to see but not touch was really unpleasant. "I've contacted Mr. Chu and told him what happened yesterday," Uncle Fu started the car and said to Lin Yi. "What did Mr. Chu say?" Lin Yi asked quickly. "Mr. Chu said he'd come back immediately and would discuss everything after he got back," Uncle Fu continued, "but he also said he had a vague idea of who was responsible." "Oh," Lin Yi was stunned. He hadn't expected Chu Pengzhan to be so astute. To have guessed a mastermind so quickly. Rush hour had passed, and the traffic had thinned out again. Uncle Fu quickly drove to the gate of Songshan No. 1 Middle School. Lin Yi got out and waved to Uncle Fu. Lin Yi walked into the school, his school bag slumped over. The playground was empty, save for a few students playing basketball, clearly the kind of delinquents who rarely attended classes. Bang! A basketball rolled toward Lin Yi. "Hey, kid, throw that basketball over," a long-haired student in black clothes called out to Lin Yi. Lin Yi was in a hurry to go to class, so how could he have the time to pick up the ball for him? Besides, the basketball didn't just land at Lin Yi's feet, but was still a certain distance away from him. "Damn it, little bastard, I'm talking to you, can't you hear me?" Zhu Ruiming immediately got upset. In this school, are there any students who dare not listen to him? Lin Yi couldn't help but frown when he heard Zhu Ruiming's curse. Although Lin Yi didn't know who his parents were since he was a child, he still felt very uncomfortable when he heard such insulting language. Lin Yi slowly turned around and looked at Zhu Ruiming, pointing at him and then at himself, meaning, "Are you talking about me?" It's you, are you deaf? Count to 3, throw the ball to me quickly, we're fine, otherwise I'll make sure you can't stay in this school anymore. Zhu Ruiming knew that Lin Yi was a poor student by the way he was dressed, so he didn't have any scruples when he spoke. Lin Yi said nothing, walking directly toward the direction the basketball had fallen. He bent down and picked it up. Zhu Ruiming's group of lackeys erupted in cheers. Zhu Ruiming thoroughly enjoyed the feeling of having others at his feet. The feeling of being the school's dominant leader was incredibly refreshing. Brother Ming is truly powerful. With just one word, that kid obediently went to pick up the ball. He didn't even dare to say a word after being scolded. One of Zhu Ruiming's followers flattered him. HMPH, just a poor student, Zhu Ruiming said smugly. No one in this school has dared to stand against me, Zhu Ruiming, yet they're not even born yet. Lin Yi stood up, holding the basketball and turning towards Zhu Ruiming. Zhu Ruiming made a gesture to catch the ball, motioning for Lin Yi to toss it. Lin Yi, observing Zhu Ruiming's swagger, curled his lips slightly, then suddenly raised his hand, sending the basketball hurtling towards him. Of course, Zhu Ruiming was unaware of the danger approaching. He was still very cool, posing as if he was catching the ball, with his hands in front of him, ready to catch the basketball thrown by Lin Yi. Bang! The basketball hit Zhu Ruiming's hand. At first, Zhu Ruiming was still complacent about being able to catch the basketball from such a long distance. The group of lackeys beside him also cheered and flattered. Brother Ming is so handsome, he is simply the new version of Jordan, Zhu Ruiming was about to say of course, but before he could finish his words, he felt something was wrong. The basketball hit his hand and there was no sign of stopping. He felt that what hit his hand was not a basketball at all, but a shot put. Chapter 50 A Murder Case Caused by Basketball, Part 1. Ouch! Zhu Ruiming howled in pain. His wrist had been dislocated. The basketball passed through his hands and hit him directly in the face. Bang! There was another loud noise. This time, Zhu Ruiming didn't even have time to howl before he fell to the ground with blood flying from his nose. The blood drew a rainbow in the air, which was very cold and beautiful. Zhu Ruiming was knocked unconscious by the blow. The lackeys who were playing basketball with him were also dumbfounded. Is this still a basketball? It's simply a cannonball. Looking at the instigator, Lin Yi was very calm. He patted the dust off his hands and continued walking towards the teaching building. Lin Yi was secretly disdainful in his heart. Are you pretending to be a fool with me? This time is considered a light punishment. If there is a next time, I will hit you so hard that you can't take care of yourself. In serious cases, you will become a vegetable. This kid hit Brother Ming. We can't let him get away, someone shouted, and Zhu Ruiming's men finally reacted, each looking towards Lin Yi, who was not far away. Hearing the shout, Lin Yi turned back with a hint of impatience, glanced coldly at the people present, sneered, and continued walking towards the teaching building. Lin Yi's icy gaze made everyone shudder for no apparent reason. Revenge for Brother Ming was a beautiful wish, but the realization of it was a difficult task. Seeing Zhu Ruiming lying on the ground, his wrist deformed, his face covered in blood, and his face oblivious to his own danger, they all retreated. Was this just a basketball? With Zhu Ruiming's previous experience as a warning, no one dared to challenge Lin Yi. Who was more foolish? The boss was already lying down. What could they do that was more powerful than Zhu Ruiming? Everyone lowered their heads, and the subordinate who had shouted earlier fell silent. They hurriedly lifted Zhu Ruiming and rushed to the school hospital. Zhong Pinliang had skipped morning self-study today. Upon arriving at school, he called one of his father's men, Black Panther. Black Panther was a well-known figure in Songshan City, managing his father's nightclub, Shangxi Nianhe. Zhong Pinliang had asked him to deal with Lin Yi, and Black Panther had initially been somewhat dismissive. He thought, just a student, why would he need to personally take care of him? He could just send a few of his men and take care of him. He felt deeply disdainful that Zhong Pinliang and his men couldn't even handle a student, but because of Zhong Pinliang's father, Black Panther kept silent. After all, he was the crown prince, the eldest son of the group. Black Panther wasn't stupid. Why would he offend him? However, he still felt a little embarrassed about having to deal with a small fry. But after Zhong Pinliang's persistent persuasion, citing the new student's impressive skills and martial arts, Black Panther agreed to bring his men to see him. Zhong Pinliang was thrilled to finally have Black Panther on board. Black Panther was a renowned fighter. Once, a member of the provincial Sanda team, relying on his professional credentials, got drunk and acted out in a nightclub. The security guards were helpless, but Black Panther responded and, in a few rounds, he crushed the professional Sanda fighter to the ground, earning Zhong Pinliang immense admiration. He believed that if Black Panther took action, Lin Yi would be damned. He wouldn't stop until he knelt before him and called him Brother Liang. So, Zhong Pinliang arrived early, accompanied by Gao Xiaofu and Zhang Neipao. But by the time first period was almost over, Lin Yi was nowhere to be seen. Zhong Pinliang grew anxious. Could he be scared and not show up? Would all his efforts to find Black Panther have been in vain? With Lin Yi not coming, Zhong Pinliang felt bored staying in the classroom, so he waved his hand and walked out with Gao Xiaofu and Zhang Neipao. Brother Liang, do you think that after Lin Yi went back yesterday, he was scared because he offended us and didn't dare to come to school anymore? Gao Xiaofu analyzed. That's a possibility, Zhong Pinliang frowned. This was his biggest worry. No way, he can hide for a while, but can he hide forever? Unless he doesn't want to go to this school anymore, but he just transferred here yesterday, so why doesn't he want to go today? Zhang Neipao was also puzzled. Why did Lin Yi not come to school after just one day? Damn, this one day is really tough. You know, Brother Black Panther doesn't have time every day. He also has to help my dad with a fight. If my dad knew I asked him to help me fight, he would skin me alive, Zhong Pinliang said with some concern. Hey, that's true. If your dad had let you get involved and let Black Panther be your bodyguard, you'd definitely be even more successful than Zuruming, Brother Liang. He's just relying on his gangster brother to back him up, Gao Xiaofu said with conviction. Forget about that. My dad's counting on me getting into a good university, Zhong Pinliang sighed. If Lin Yi hadn't shown up today, I'd have missed a great opportunity to teach him a lesson. It'd be hard to come by such an opportunity again. Kang Xiaobo's here, why don't we let Black Panther teach him a lesson? Zhang Neipao, resentful of Kang Xiaobo's kick yesterday, felt a pang of resentment. Fuck, idiot. Does Kang Xiaobo even need Black Panther's help? We can take him down. Gao Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Zhang Neipao. Can you come up with something good? If it's me, then come up with something good, Zhang Neipao said indignantly. Alright, you two, stop arguing. Zhong Pinliang impatiently pressed his hand, found a step at the edge of the playground, sat down, and took out a cigarette, slapping it between his lips. Snap! Zhang Neipao quickly took out his lighter and lit it for Zhong Pinliang, giving him an awkward smile. Looks like Zuruming and his friends are playing basketball over there, Brother Liang. Why don't we go over there and play for a while? Gao Xiaofu pointed to a group of people playing basketball on the other side of the playground. Not interested, Zhong Pinliang glanced at Zuruming and the others in the distance and shook his head. If Lin Yi doesn't show up soon, I'll have to call Brother Black Panther and ask him to come back another day, Brother Liang. Brother Liang. Look, Zhang Neipao suddenly shouted. Fuck, what are you yelling about? Zhong Pinliang was startled by Zhang Neipao's sudden movements, glaring at him and saying angrily. No, Brother Liang, it's Lin Yi. Zhang Neipao's words were a little stammering. What do you mean it's not Brother Liang, it's Lin Yi? I haven't changed my name yet. Damn, even if I'm unlucky, I won't change my name to Lin Yi. Zhong Pinliang looked at Zhang Neipao with dissatisfaction and frowned. Brother Liang, what I mean is, Lin Yi is here. He's here. Zhang Neipao finally finished what he wanted to say and breathed a sigh of relief. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.